97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia. The real and inside story on the Birds as they get ready for the NFL Wild Card. The John Kincade Show, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Thanks to Bradford White Water Heaters. They bring in the 6 o'clock hour of the John Kincade Show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. As I've been trying to maneuver this microphone here this morning. I heard something and was reading something, and more in some of the comments coming out of the locker room and hearing some of the players from the Eagles and leaders like Brandon Graham trotting out the, well, people are doubting us line. I don't know if it was in a veterans meeting, a leadership of the locker room meeting, that somebody decided that this would be the strategy. This would be the thing. We're gonna, people are doubting us now. Let's let them know. We're gonna prove the doubters wrong. I absolutely am amazed that you were 10-1. You were Super Bowl favorites out of the NFC, tied with San Francisco on the day the season kicked off. You are one of the most reportedly best rosters in the NFL. And at any point, any veteran would even allude to the fact that this team somehow is an underdog. Somehow is people are doubting us, and now we're gonna circle the wagons, and we're gonna show you people who doubt us, all you doubters, we're gonna show you. We've had 6 weeks to show us. And what you showed us was the only game you stumbled through to victory. As Pat pointed out yesterday, you might be lucky that Tommy DeVito started that Christmas game, or you might have lost on Christmas. This could have been even more of an epic disaster than it was. For any Eagle veteran to even utter anything that alludes to them being somehow doubted, questioned, now they're going to circle the wagons and show us, is so disgusting to me. I just got to say, look, put away your underdog mask, stick it in a drawer, and take those sorry talking points elsewhere. This is a fire that you lit. This is a disaster that you created. This is one where it's not based on, if you hadn't told us for the last month that you were going to fix it, whether it be Nick Sirianni, his coordinators, or the leadership of this locker room, or the quarterback, or otherwise. If you didn't tell us for a month that you were going to fix it, maybe I wouldn't doubt you. But instead, it's gotten worse. Losing to the Cardinals and the Giants, are you kidding me? At the end of the year? That's on you. Every bit of doubt, it's on you. You created it. You fostered it. You laid the fertilizer, to use those planting analogies that work so well in that locker room. This is all you're doing. So don't spin it now as, well, people are doubting us. Yeah, we're going to show them, all these people doubting us. You've given people no reason to believe. And people who want to believe. People like my partner, Bob Cooney, who always try to find the yin and the yang, try to get into the discussion and discuss, well, I understand why someone's doubting, but here's a reason why maybe they shouldn't. Even Bob hasn't been able to figure anything out like that. So stop it right now. And to me, it's like the last gasp. It's like a death rattle. And one thing I expect the leadership of this team to do, if there's anything, the Buccaneers are the team that's been doubted. The Buccaneers are the team that's questioned. The Buccaneers are the team that can wear the stupid underdog masks. Put them away and stop with the, well, people are doubting us. You created the doubt. And that goes for all of them. It was coaches, players, Bob, everything. And you, who always finds both sides of a story, as well as anyone I've ever known in this business, even you can't find both sides of the story this week.
No, who said it? Brandon Graham?
Brandon Graham. And others, too.
We're at a point that, excuse me, we're at a point that no matter what they say, are we going to agree with anything? Are we going to be okay with it? If they say, we're trying to fix it, you've lambasted them for that. If they say, nobody believes us, we don't care, we're gonna lambaste them for that. If they say, yeah, we know what we're doing, we got this, we're gonna lambaste. There's nothing they can say. It's just put up or shut up now.
You know what they could say? We've been telling you for a month we're gonna fix it. We understand why you don't believe us. So now we're going to try. We are doing everything we can in this building to try. We're going to try to go out and do that. But we understand why people are.
Well, they've said that. I mean, Sirianni came out and said, we're going to friggin' fight. The coaches are going to friggin' fight. The players are going to friggin' fight. Like, they've said everything. I don't care about words. I really don't. You can say anything you want and believe anything you want or not believe what they say. Does it really matter come Monday what they say? It didn't matter last weekend when I saw them not even put up effort. And, yeah, you're right. Effort is a thing that's like a four-letter word to use against an athlete. But they had none. I mean, I saw Mark Spears on ESPN saying, it's one thing not to be playing well, but when you show up and you just don't play, that's different. That's what I saw from the Eagles on Sunday. And that's Mark Spears talking, a guy that's been all over the NFL. So they just don't have it right now. And I don't care what they say. I really don't. It's not going to boost my thoughts into, yeah, he said that. All right, now they're going to make stops on third down. Yeah, he said that. Okay, now Hassan Reddick's going to learn how to cover when they drop him back in defense. None of that matters. It just doesn't. And I was looking up all the stuff from the game that we went to, third game of the season in Tampa, and the defense had a really good day. Held Tampa to 174 total yards. I'll make a prediction right now, John. Tampa will have more than 174 yards, which is the total they had in the first game. They'll have more than that in the first half against the Eagles.
I don't need to hear that.
I'm just telling you.
I know. I mean,
they are lost.
Right. The thing is, though, when you start with everybody doubts us, it's a deflection of blame. It's like people don't understand. They think we're done. They think we're not very good, but we really are. No, we have eyes, and this fan base is pretty educated. Pat, it's I don't think you'd be going out to Amazon and grabbing some Underdog masks or anything like that.
No, I rolled my eyes at that, but I've been rolling my eyes for 6 weeks when they say this stuff. Like, I'm with Bob at this point. I'm sick of listening to these guys try to play the victim and sit there and point at us and go, oh, you guys don't believe in us, and no, we're going to fix it. Okay, you had your chance. You haven't fixed it. You're probably not going to fix it. I expect you to win this week, and then I expect you to get your teeth kicked in and curb stomped the next week in San Fran. So, no, I kind of rolled my eyes at that and just went, all right, whatever, moved on from it.
Let's be honest, though, and I want to get, Pat, is your thought, because we weren't, at the holidays we weren't together. Did you buy in any week where they were telling you were going to fix it? Did you buy in, like, before the Christmas game, before the Cardinals?
Oh, yeah.
So you did.
Yeah, I thought eventually it would get fixed. And
I did, too.
And then I reached a breaking point where I went, they're not going to fix anything. Because at some point they keep talking about time's running out and time's, we got to fix this. We're not having a lot of time in it. Well, all right, time's up. Like, you didn't fix it.
Seriously, it's the equivalent of a car. Okay, when they started sputtering a little bit, it was, man, is the tire pressure low, or why am I not getting enough juice here? Is there something wrong with the transmission? Whatever. It was something that you said, okay, if you fix something, we'll get it running well again. Now it's broken, and you're trying to figure out what's wrong. You don't know what's wrong. You're trying to figure out the car won't start. The car won't run. You can't figure out what it is. Is it the engine? Is it the transmission? Did somebody take the catalytic converter? Something's wrong with this, and it's broken. It's not like a fixable thing. It's not like, oh, yeah, they don't know what's wrong to fix. And that's damning.
If you didn't see the breakdown by Dan Orlovsky yesterday on social media, you can find it, of Brian Johnson's offense. Or the Nick Sirianni offense that Brian Johnson calls. It is the most damning critique of an NFL offense out there. I mean, Dan Orlovsky's pretty much just clowning it and saying how rudimentary it is and saying how easy they make it for defenses to defend them. I mean, they're calling this out. This is week. This is after 18 weeks. This is after all the opportunity in the world to fix it. And you see, if you do, it is worth your time, because Dan is just, he's just spitting facts, and he's showing it to you on a big screen TV, and you can look at it and go, this is a high school. It's not, he doesn't say the term, but it's a high school offense.
Do you remember?
That's what they're doing.
It was like a little bit before Christmas when I did something with Trey Thomas on a Thursday night.
And you were raving about it.
And he and I watched film, and he's like, Look at how predictable they are. And he went in a place that we never thought of. When we think predictability, we think, oh, they're going to run on first down or, second and long. We know they're going to do this. He showed me the offensive line. and he said, look at their stance. Look at the head movement. They're giving it away, right? And he showed me. He showed me their stances, and I could call it. Oh, yeah, it's going to be a pass. Oh, yeah, it's going to be a run. Orlovsky yesterday went on TV and said, look at how parallel the Eagles' offensive line gets. You know what they're running. Last year, they would go to either a 2-point stance, whatever, and you wouldn't know what they were doing because they would shoot out off of that, and you didn't know what was coming. He said this year it's blatantly obvious. So Trey Thomas was like a month and a half ahead of even Dan Orlovsky.
And two is that, and I'm sure Trey saw it, and I'm sure Dan sees it, this team refuses to run their offense under center. They're not fooling anybody. It's constant shotgun. And there's been no adjustment to it. They don't throw out of under center snaps, and they rarely snap the ball under center. They've put this into a total shotgun offense, and to me, that's and no one will convince me differently. Hey, Jalen, well, what do you like? Well, Shane Steichen didn't put me as much in shotgun. I'd like to run more shot. I'm comfortable in shotgun. That's where I ran college offense. That's what I did in college. That's what I want to do. It's what I did at Oklahoma in my final year. That's what I prefer because he has an offensive coordinator that catered to him. There's no reason that they would have changed an offense so drastically. That was so impressive last year. That was one of the hardest to defend. That was one of the most dynamic. There's only one reason that you change it is because the new offensive coordinator or the quarterback or both and a collaboration decide they want it changed. That I know we ran that last year, but this is what I want to run. This is what I'm more comfortable in running. Well, you know what? It hasn't worked.
Well, a couple of things.
It hasn't worked.
Were they under center a lot last year?
More than this.
They've only been under like once
right, exactly.
this year. Yeah,
well, no, they've only thrown at one point. They'd only thrown once.
Yeah, I'll bet you the numbers aren't that. I'll bet you they were in shotgun probably 98% of the time last year. This year it's probably 99. The other thing, is this a statement on Jalen Hurts? Think about it. You get a shotgun, you get the ball, and boom, you're stable. You can read a defense standing still. It probably makes it easier for you to see all of your wide receivers as opposed to having to worry about a 3, 5, or 7-step drop. You know, like when you're dropping back, you're thinking footwork. It's an added physical thing that you're giving yourself, giving the quarterback if you're calling it. So is it in shotgun? It's easier for him to read defenses.
Could be,
yeah,
and that's scary. We'll find out on Monday night, won't we, Pat? Because that's the famous game where we had Todd Bowles and his staff literally mocking Jalen Hurts during a playoff.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles is not very good, so I'm not so much worried about him and what he did 3 years ago, whatever it was, 2 years ago.
You don't think that that performance can repeat on Monday?
Not after what I saw in week 3. I was worried about that in week 3. I wasn't worried about that after that. The Bucs are not a good football team, and neither are the Eagles, and there's no hiding that. But the Bucs are worse, and I expect it to be a hair-pulling, head-scratching game that is probably going to be way too. But ultimately, I'm not worried about Todd Bowles' game plan. I think it was Bob. Bob, you said it all season. The Eagles can beat themselves. Like that's who you're worried about. The Eagles beating themselves. And for a while, that was true. Now it just seems like they would lose to just about anybody. William and Mary would come in here and give it to them. But I think with the playoffs and all the everything going on, I think the Eagles would have to beat themselves to lose to a Bucs team that could barely squander 9 points against the Panthers.
Yeah, it's getting, I don't want to say scary, but it's getting interesting now of what's going to happen here when you have national people questioning the effort. Not, like I said, Mark Spears, they didn't play bad. They didn't show up to play.
Yeah, and
I'm paraphrasing, and he said that's directly on the coaching staff. I said it last week. I think these players don't agree with what the coaches are giving them. And I think it's kind of
you quit on it?
You can have a Jason Kelsey go in there and say, guys, listen, this could be my last game, and then all, rah, 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 and get everybody pumped up, and that's the leader that you want. And then you go out onto the field, and you run your first offensive play, and it's sent in from the sidelines, and it's bubble screen. And you got to go, what in the holy hell is going on here? Or you're on the defensive side of the ball, and Matt Patricia says, yeah, Hassan, make sure that you and Josh Sweat, that you're fading back into coverage on the first couple of plays. And it's going to be like, what are we doing here? It can turn that quickly. So that's why I don't know if words, leadership, all of that stuff, I don't know if it does a hill of good right now.
It just shows me, though, they have no answers. When that's what they're talking about, when they're talking about the proving the doubters wrong and we don't doubt ourselves in this locker room. Bull crap that they don't doubt themselves in that locker room. Their performance over the last few weeks has shown me they doubt themselves. They haven't been able to feel like they believe in what they're doing. And that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at right now. And it's the idea of just to me, it's almost like I say a death rattle. I expected that there were going to be messages and there was going to be energy and there were going to be things that made me feel like this thing has a chance to Monday be a launching off point. Maybe they can do that. Right now, I'm not feeling it.
Would words really put you over the top on that?
I would say is that, Bob, I think the fan base is more pissed off than the team. I think the fan base.
But what I'm saying is like.
Well, no, but that's unacceptable.
If players or coaches came out and said something from now until Monday, it would make you feel better about their play on Monday?
It would make me feel better if the head coach said, I'm taking the wheel, I'm calling the plays. It would take me better if I thought that they were doing things that were actually going to change what we're seeing on the field. What we've seen is I believe, a cowardly approach. I think it's a cowardly, for Nick Sirianni not to take control of this offense tells me he is either afraid to fail or, and I know Andrew was talking about this yesterday, he's either afraid to fail or he just thinks that there's nothing to be gained from it. There's nothing to be gained at this point from it. And that's even scarier.
I'll tell you, the only thing that could to make me believe anything is if I watch a quarter of good football beginning on Monday night.
Maybe you'll see it on Monday night.
On both sides of the ball. I'm not, maybe, but I think it'll be Tampa more than I think it would be the Eagles.
I will tell you this, the 9 points they gave up to Carolina, that they scored against Carolina, I'll think sort of like you say, I would imagine that they have 10 at halftime at least 10 at halftime on Monday night. Where do you fall in this right now? And is it an overreaction to words? And sometimes, that's the way it goes. 610-632-0975. But before you talk to us, take off your underdog mask. So that way it doesn't, we don't want the dog mask to muffle your voice. It's the John Kincade Show. Welcome in. And we're going to tell you how Friday morning you could win a trip to go see the game in person. You could be like our personal correspondent here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, as good as the regular season is, there's no
John Kincade Show, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
It is a drag that you got to wait till Monday night, but Barnaby's in Westchester will be the spot to hang out with Bob and Pat and Andrew as you get ready for the game. 6 o'clock, that broadcast right after the best show ever. That is right down the street in the borough. So
yeah.
I got to maybe wander on down to...
I've been to Barnaby's a couple of times. Great place. So,
well, you love the Barnaby's in Delco is great, but it's a great Westchester. So come on down if you're in the area. Good stuff, and that'll be a part of it. I wonder if anything, and Pat, I think you're usually the barometer for this.
Okay.
Is there anything that can change your opinion going into Monday night's game between now and then? Because Bob's saying to me, what could you hear that would change you? Like,
no.
What could you? So nothing.
No, for me, nothing. They had 6 weeks to change it. They had 6 weeks to give me a glimmer of hope and go, well, if you think about the game against the Cardinals, and that was the game they played well, and maybe they can get back to that form, or that first Giants game, or the Cowboys game, it all sucked. Every single second sucked.
Yeah, it's
the last
not,
6 weeks.
We're not mad that they're, or well, I shouldn't say
I'm
that,
sort of mad.
Yeah.
I got to be honest.
But it's an honest take that I'm giving. It's not
not
God, they have nothing working right now. And if they were to come out and say, yeah, we know we ran the ball for over 200 yards against the Buccaneers last time, and DeAndre went over 100 and averaged 8 yards a carry, yeah, we're going to try to do that. I would say, okay, good. But they're not going to do that because they're not telling Tampa Bay what they're going to do. So, yeah, words right now, nothing. Totally, absolutely means nothing. And Nick Sirianni did do the tough guy thing of, the frickin' fight and all that. Okay, you had a team not show up last week to play.
Yeah, where's it been?
They didn't show up to play.
No.
You have guys shaking their heads, not knowing what's going on. I said before that I came to the conclusion that I put this all on the coaches because I don't think they talk about putting players in best positions to win. I think the players right now know that they are not doing that a little bit. So, yeah, this isn't good. It's really, really bad.
Well, I want to spin this into something that you wanted to talk about, Bob, is the idea that do you believe if the players believe? Do you believe the players believe?
It's a horrible question.
That's a terrible question.
It's damning. But do you?
No.
I mean, you brought up yesterday, and this is kind of what spurred it on in my mind a little bit. You brought it up yesterday that you saw Jason Kelce just roaming the sidelines kind of, like a lost puppy, just looking around at things. That tells me, wow, what's going on here? I saw a video of Kelce screaming and hollering on the sidelines at the Rams game.
Oh, yeah.
Earlier this year, and somebody said in the tweet, like, is there more to this than we thought at the time? I saw players just, I hate to say disinterested, but did it look like
appeared disinterested?
Yeah,
well,
I don't think you can turn that around so easily. And if you guys can tell me the thing that they can do that'll make you happy that you're confident in right now, I'm all ears because I don't have confidence anywhere in this football team right now.
Well, I would tell you that if I saw that this team stayed, to me, committed to, like, I don't know, committed to a offensive plan that we've seen the scripted plays work at times, and then they go away from it. I don't believe you're going to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers if you're a pass-happy offense. If they come out and I see the first design plays, and I thank one of our listeners sent me this yesterday, saying that in the 6 games that we've been at, including, no, he threw in the Buffalo game too, that in 4 of the games, Jalen Hurts threw away the ball twice in the first design plays. Like rolls, throws it out of bounds, there's nothing open and everything. And that's the design scripted plays. He's like, that is so damning, the amount of times that is happening right off the bat with this team. It happened the other day, too. Just throwing the ball away. It's like, the rollout. It is, to me, I'm just wondering, I don't think they believe. I think they have badass, the body language right now is terrible. It is really, really bad body language. And to me, people are like, body language, who cares? It's what they do. I think I see sag shoulders. I think I don't see, and I see a listless response on the sideline. Like they're just not, there's no fight. There's no fire. And I wonder, and I put that on Nick Sirianni. And the further I get, I thought it was ridiculous 2 weeks ago when people were talking about, boy, if Nick Sirianni doesn't get this fixed, he's gone. But the further we get closer to this game, Bob, I put this at his door.
Yeah.
I put it at his door first. Honestly, the players are to blame, but is the plan so terrible that other people have just checked out?
Well, listen to how you started. You started by saying the Eagles can't win this game if it's a pass-happy offense.
I don't believe they can.
You're taking away Jalen Hurts. You're taking away A.J. Brown. You're taking away Devontae Smith. You're taking away Dallas Goedert.
No, pass-happy. I'm saying about where they don't stay committed to the run.
Those are your biggest weapons.
I got you.
Those are your biggest weapons by far. And we're talking about, but you can't do that. Also, there's a reason you can't do that all that much. It's because you have to keep that defense off the field because they're horrendous. And when they're on the field for 7 minutes in a 12-play, 75-yard drive, they get gas. And then if you go an offense out there that goes, pass happy, like you're talking about, and is throwing the ball out of bounds 2 out of the 3 plays, and the defense has to come right back onto the field, you're done. You're done. Like, it all comes into play right now. You're going to have an offense that has to, because it seems to be better as far as talent, you're going to have an offense that controls the ball for more reasons than one, and the biggest may be to keep that defense off the field.
What would you see in your former life as a writer or a columnist? What would you see in a locker room that would tell you that they don't believe in the coaches? What would you see? What would you see behind the scenes that maybe you don't see by just watching the game on television or sitting in the stands?
Well, it's more than just sight. It's also talking to people and all, because players, when they're disgruntled, they don't mind. A lot of them don't mind talking, and then a lot of it would be off the record. You can just tell, like we can tell on TV, which is so limited, but we can tell that they're just like, what is happening here? When you bring in a backup quarterback and you go empty backfield and you run a bubble screen, like I think my dog out loud said bubble screen, like everybody knew it was coming, and what happens? Boom, there it is, interception. It's horrible. So yeah, you can tell. It's funny you say that, John. One of the easiest things to me that I could tell from players was when they were turned off by something.
You can tell when they're like, does that mean turned, like, does turned off mean disgusted?
Oh, God, yeah.
Or checked out?
They're kind of related.
I don't know how you can check out, though, when your paycheck's on the line, when bonuses are on the line, when winning a championship is supposed to mean so much. But it appears there is. And I saw some of the comments from Marcus Spears here. I went back and looked because of you talking about Marcus earlier, and I just saw Dan Orlovsky's thing just shocked me last night. I mean, it just absolutely shocked me how he was able to so clearly point out this is such an easy offense to defend. They don't mask things. They don't disguise things. They don't do things that confuse people. This is rudimentary. They hired the wrong guy. And they were willing to gas Sean Desai, but they're not willing to. No one was willing to take the wheel away from Brian Johnson. And that just absolutely floors me.
Yeah, and then they do that with the offense, and then they'll bring somebody else in and say, all right, now let's look at this Eagles defense. And it's embarrassing. I mean, these guys are looking at it and saying, all right, I see this defense, the way they're aligned, and look at how the offense is set here. I have 1, 2, 3. Obviously, you always have options when you're running a play offensively. But they're saying 1, 2, 3. These guys are going to be open. The Eagles they are totally designed wrong for how this offense is lined up. And it's a joke.
If I said to you, Pat, the blame game and the blame pointer, and I gave you on the pointer, you could spin the wheel, and there's Howie, there's Nick Sirianni, there's the coordinators, and there's the players. So there's only 4 spots on the board. Howie, Nick Sirianni, his coordinators, and his players. Where does the pointer for you go first?
Oh, man. Great question. Well, who hired the coordinators?
Nick Sirianni and Adam Schefter has clearly put that he had absolutely input on that, and that was he was very much involved in their hiring and approving of it.
All right, so Sirianni is 1. The coordinators are 2.
Okay.
They just refuse to change anything. So I actually put like Sirianni 1A, the coordinators 1B.
Okay.
And then it's the players, and then Howie.
Okay, here's what I'm going to say to you, though, is that if that's the case, if your pointer is pointed that way, then could he be coaching to stick around on Monday night?
Oh, I think absolutely he is. Yeah, I think if they lose on Monday, there's a very strong case that he needs to go. Very, very strong case.
It's incredible, and I don't think it's crazy that
if
you're saying
you lose
it.
to the Bucks,
Yeah.
I mean, they barely squeaked by the Panthers, and I know people are probably driving to work right now screaming, "Well, the Eagles are losing the Giants," and you are right. But the Bucks have not been good this entire season. They were in the worst division in football. If you lose to the Bucks, yeah, bro, you gotta kick rocks.
Wow, I can't believe that we might be talking.
You never were able to stop the train from derailing.
We might be talking about this next week. I mean, this might be the discussion we're having next week. And I can't fathom that. I never in a million years would have guessed that in September that this is the way this all could have gone down. I would have bet anything I owned that absolutely could never have happened. Never.
Yeah, I'm still. I still haven't made a decision. If they go out and have a performance on Monday that resembles my God, they didn't even show up to play.
Like Giants game?
Then there's got to be a major thought going on there about Nick Sirianni's job. If they go out and play and win and then get their asses kicked or whatever, then I start to think of, okay, and I still have this in the forefront of my mind. Nick Sirianni has had some great success here. We are talking about a 6-game period as opposed to, all the other things. Is he automatically a really good head coach if you bring in an Eric Bieniemy and a Mike Vrabel as your coordinators? Is that what he does really well when he allows others to coach those two groups and he oversees everything? Is he really good at that? Because that's what he was praised for so much here in a year and a half. Monday, is he coaching for his job? That might not be a line that's too far out there.
See, that's incredible to me. And unfortunately, guys like Vrabel, they're going to get a head coaching. He's going to get a head coaching.
Vrabel will get hired in about 12 minutes.
I think so too.
I think he could go to Atlanta. Would be a spot maybe. Carolina could be a spot where he.
Yeah, I believe Vrabel's probably the top head coaching prospect out there.
I like what you say about Eric Bieniemy, though.
Yeah, you hear what I'm saying? If they get an Eric Bieniemy, if they get a defensive coordinator that is really good, a real name, do you keep Nick Sirianni on the basis of, look, he oversaw two great coordinators last year, got coordinators who had good years last year, and took it all the way to a Super Bowl?
I think I would. And, Pat, I don't know if that would annoy you or not, but I tell you, even if they lost to Tampa Bay, if they brought in two
to be back.
Right.
Yeah, it's just a matter of who are the coordinators. But if they lose on Monday, I would probably let him go. But also, you could make the case, like, I'm not going to die on that hill. You can make the case that he just needs to be surrounded by, like, good, intelligent coordinators.
Yeah.
But these guys weren't it. And if you do get that veteran, defensive mind who was a head coach, yeah, okay. I mean, I'm down for that.
But he's the leader. Does it not bother you that he's the leader?
Everything bothers me.
And he's not better at things than his coordinators are?
Yeah.
That to me tells me then I'm hiring the wrong guy to be my leader.
Oh yeah, when you're hired as an offensive mind and the knock on you was you never really call plays, and then you get to Philly and you do call plays and they're terrible.
And then you tell everybody you're terrible at it.
And then you get to this year, and no one can put their finger on when exactly he calls plays and when he doesn't call plays and how much of his offense is Brian Johnson, how much is him. It's like you get mixed signals depending on who you ask that's down at NovaCare what's going on with the offense. There's no clear cut, this guy's in charge, he calls the plays, that's it. It's this mixed-moshed hodgepodge crap of like, well, sometimes he jumps in, but then sometimes he just doesn't. And then every once in a while, what?
All right,
it's never good. It's not good.
Right. Give me best case scenario in your guys' mind. They get done the season.
They win the Super Bowl.
Say they win. Yeah. Say they beat Tampa Bay and then lose, and Sirianni keeps his job. Are you more happy if they get two really good coordinators, and Eric Bieniemy and, I don't know, pick a defensive coordinator, and they keep Sirianni? Or would you rather a whole new coaching staff comes in here, and it's a whole new thing and a whole new prove it?
I'd rather they keep Nick Sirianni. If you told me, like, let's say they got Eric Bieniemy and Wink Martindale to come in here, I am absolutely fine with keeping Nick Sirianni and giving it one more, like saying, okay, last year really went off the rails because of two horrible coordinators, and then now that we see competent coordinators, look what happens.
Yeah, maybe that's your bigger hires. Maybe coordinators are your bigger hires because Nick Sirianni has proven that he doesn't get in the way when you have two really good coordinators, and whatever he did last year was good. It was good. Whatever he did was good.
The atmosphere he created, he obviously has a likability factor with his players, but I don't give a damn about that, honestly. I don't. Like, I don't care about that.
No, but
at this point.
If you're Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman and you say, all right, we got this guy who's not going to give us any backlash, who's not going to interfere if things are going well, and he's a good motivator, whatever he does, it helps that go along. You know, to me, now I'm just thinking out loud here, maybe your coordinator hires are way more important than your head coach hiring.
Kevin wants to ask a question in Florida. Kevin, good morning. You're on the Fanatic.
Hey, good morning, fellas. Good morning, guys.
Welcome aboard.
Just real quick, I'm wondering why no one's bringing up the fact that Brian Johnson has been coaching Jalen Hurts for the last 20 years. Do we not think Jalen Hurts has a say-so if Brian Johnson gets fired? Everyone on the team knows this. Our offensive coordinator is our main problem. But yet Jalen Hurts is sitting back. What I'm thinking is saying, no, you cannot fire this guy. He's been my coach for the last 20
Now, remember, though, he wasn't his coach at Alabama. He wasn't his coach at Oklahoma. So, I mean, there's things that, you know, they just have had a relationship that long.
Since he was 4 or 5 years old. So
he's been, yes, absolutely.
Final say-so.
Well, I guarantee you, I think Jalen Hurts, and I've said it since the beginning, I think Jalen Hurts was behind the hire. I think it's clear now, and Dan Orlovsky makes the case for it yesterday. It was a hire that was made with a guy that wasn't ready for the job. Thank you, Kim. Wasn't ready for the job. And I believe that Jalen Hurts was behind that. I am absolutely convinced that is when you know somebody since 4 years. He's the reason he's here. I mean, it's the reason he's here to create that. And when he was the quarterback coach, it was a much better situation because you had Shane Steichen.
Yeah, look, the offense was great last year. You lost your offensive coordinator. Has it turned out well? No, but I'm not going to say that I disagreed with it at all at the time because it seemed to be the natural progression.
It seemed to be a progression. Yeah. I certainly didn't think, well, I said they must see something in him. Well, hey, Adam Schefter will join us at 8 o'clock. We'll find out what is going on there. I should say college football national champion. Adam Schefter joins us at 8 o'clock
He
today.
made it to the game. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he did, in fact, make it to the game.
Good for him. Good for him.
I had no doubts.
Good for him, and congratulations.
50-yard line.
That's pretty
Wonder
good.
how he got tickets.
Yeah, I wonder how he did that. Hey, if you want to get in, 610-632-0975. We want to hear from you as we approach Monday's game. Plus, this guy's down again, and is this going to be a major, major problem for this team? We'll get to it next. John Kincade Show here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Flyers hockey.
Plug in.
97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia. The real and inside story on the Birds as they get ready for the NFL Wild Card. The John Kincade Show. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Not a lot promising as we head into Wednesday. Hopefully everybody out there navigating the roadways pretty well. A bad night last night. Hopefully everybody gets to work safely, travel safely on the roadways, and is hanging out with us. We will have a way you can go to Tampa with the Birds, with Philly Sports Trips coming up. Someone is going to win a trip Friday morning. A VIP trip for two for Monday night's game in Tampa, including air, hotel, VIP tailgate party featuring Hollis Thomas's 50th birthday party.
Hey, happy birthday, Hollis.
And if you're already going to the game and you want to get yourself down there, go to phillysportstrips.com to reserve your spot either in the tailgate-only package, which features Hollis and his 50th birthday, or you can hold on and you can get on add-on hotel and game tickets to take the stress out of it. But somebody Friday will be winning the trip. Now, we were discussing this morning. And it was like, well, wait a minute. The trips, like this weekend, how do you get off? I said, I bet you people would have a bag packed in 2 minutes.
Oh, hell yeah.
Now, the question is, how do you tell the boss you're not going to be into work on Monday? Or Tuesday, for that matter?
Tell them the truth. I won 2 tickets from the Fanatic, and I'm going.
We may have to, interfere with, someone may say, could you talk to the boss? Can you get us off? Can you get me off? He says we have a big meeting on Tuesday, and he doesn't want me to miss it. That boss hopefully doesn't exist out there. Hopefully everybody's – because this city's going to be completely focused on Monday night. Well, as much griping as everyone's feeling right now and as much anger as some people are feeling and frustration, by Monday night we're all going to be in green and believing, and you guys will be out at Barnaby's in Westchester. This city will believe – at least we'll be there to cheer on their team. You don't believe that, really? I think they'll be there to cheer them on.
If fans are being honest with themselves, I don't think they'll be believing.
That's not not the right word. Yeah,
you might think that they're going to win the game because the opponent is so inferior or so bad. I shouldn't even say inferior.
I think that's where Pat is.
Yeah. But believing to me means that I have something that I can wrap my hands around that says, yeah, they do this well. And right now, over the last 4 or 5 weeks, I don't have that feeling about this football team.
Leslie joins us. Leslie, good morning. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Good morning, John. I actually agree with you. If it really needs to happen. They need to bring in Eric Bieniemy and Wink Martindale. That's what I was thinking yesterday. And my question is, if that happens, or whoever they bring in, will he let it go? Will the defense be able to be run by Wink Martindale or whoever, or will it still be the stupid defense that's going on now?
Well, that's what I wonder too. Can you imagine Wink Martindale, who loves to be able to design like an exotic blitz and things like that? Can you imagine him with some of this pass rush talent that they've got? I mean, I certainly can. I can dream about it.
I can too, but not if he's going to be muted.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Is somebody? I wonder whether he would even be considered for the job because of the philosophy that Nick Sirianni seems to have as far as defense.
That's another question. When does the philosophy go out the window with Jeffrey and Howie? It should be enough by now.
Which philosophy, Leslie? Which philosophy don't you like by them? The keep the ball in front of you stuff?
I don't like how they're using Hassan. I don't understand how you looked at this man being used the wrong way for 2 or 3 seasons, and then you turn around and you do the same stupid thing.
I like Pat. Leslie seems like your spirit animal this morning. Seems like you
speaking for a lot of people.
Oh my gosh, you don't know. I'm in Maryland, but I'm always a Philadelphian first, and I tell everybody that. Well, you've been here longer. Home is where the heart is. This will never be home. I just live here and pay taxes. Nothing wrong with it. It's just not home. But you know the crap that I get over and over, man. Enough already. Somebody's got to go.
Yeah,
gotta go.
Well, I think two coordinators better go.
Well, and that's the other thing. Okay, so like you were saying, if you bring in coordinators, then why is Nick there?
That's what I wonder, and I wonder about that. is
That means that one of you guys can go and coach the Eagles. Nothing against you guys, but the coordinators are going to make you look good. Then what is he doing?
Yeah, I agree. Hey, Les, have a great weekend, and we appreciate you listening every single day. That's Pat. She sort of sounded like a female version of you in just where her talking points were coming from, the frustration, and but she so clearly wants to believe.
Well, no, I think we all want to believe.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
This is not a fun situation we find ourselves in, but it's hard to muster that energy to believe after what we've watched the last 6-7 weeks. I mean, this team is a shell of itself.
It's a bluff if anyone is saying that they're a big believer on Monday night, even beating the Buccaneers. I think you're bluffing. I think you're just saying it to say. You're just saying it to say it. You want to believe it so badly that you're just saying it to say it. Because there's nothing factually right now that would say, especially after Giants and the Cardinals, there's nothing at the end of the year that you would say boo. And I love you talk about honesty, Bob. I love what Fletcher Cox had to say. Fletcher Cox, we went out there. I'm worried about this locker room. I'm worried about it scares me. This locker room. We got guys in here that are and he says too, we just lost to a really bad football team. He says it. He says the words. We lost to a really bad football team. And he's willing to voice it out there as I'm worried about this room. I'm worried. We got guys in here who are scared. That bothers me. And I love the honesty. Good job, Fletcher. Thanks for the honesty. I wish you'd played Sunday. I don't understand that.
Well, they went into it just kind of half-ass. It seemed like,
and that showed.
If we get a lead, we'll keep some starters. We'll be able to rest the starters. If we get down, we'll be able to rest the starters. It was what it was, and they went in, with that game plan, and that's how it all played out. I didn't mind them resting Fletcher Cox before the game when I heard it. Okay, not a bad move. Getting ready for the playoffs, get him some extra rest.
It played to the nonchalant atmosphere, though. I would imagine. That it's a message that we're trying to win, but we're really not trying to win. We're going to rest DeAndre Swift. We're going to rest Fletcher Cox, two guys that have been really, really critical to any success we've had this year. We're going to rest them. So we're saying we're trying to win, but we're really not trying to win, and that's what I take away from.
Well, on the surface, though, you're playing a Giants team that had 5 wins and is really bad, and had Tyrod Taylor starting at quarterback, a backup. You should have been able to go in with the talent you have without those two guys and still be able to win that football game. But they're not there. They're not there because they can't execute. They have bad play calling. You have to wonder about attitude. There's just so much going on there that's not positive. That's where this organization is right now.
I would like to have seen Tommy DeVito, Pat, and I think you agree with me there. You would love to have seen Tommy DeVito start that game.
Honestly, no.
No?
No, I want to see them against a guy that's that's like been in the NFL for a little bit. I mean, I don't want to be squeaking by Tommy DeVito. Not that I think that would have happened. I think they would have handled Tommy DeVito pretty well, but no, like I can't keep playing this game of beating Tommy DeVito and that's it.
I got you.
And I understand that the other argument is you just want to get the guys right and feeling good about themselves, but. I figured that game was going to be one that was going to be a little nerve-wracking because Tyrod Taylor, we were going to make him out to be a Lamar Jackson, but I didn't expect him to get hammered the way they did.
I was incorrect, though, on my analysis last week on Friday because I said I didn't think that I would learn anything about the Eagles based on that game, and I did, and what I learned was negative. I didn't think I'd learn anything. I'm not going to learn much from this game. I did. And what I learned is I'll take Fletcher Cox's word. It scares you. It scares you about this team. It scares you about their mentality. It scares you about their mental fortitude and where they're at.
Yeah, you can go into that game and say, well, it doesn't mean much. Dallas is probably going to win. And you can go out there and play a couple series with your starters and at least look like an NFL team on both sides of the ball. You're playing against a Giants team, as I said before, that had 5 wins, and you looked nothing like an NFL team at any point in that game. Never.
7 a.m. hours brought to you by the Bet Park Sportsbook app. It's absolutely awesome. You got the sportsbook, you got the casino in one easy-to-use app in Pennsylvania, Jersey, even Ohio and Maryland. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. So Adam Schefter joins us at 8 o'clock today. And I don't know what interesting tidbits Adam may have for us as we head into Super Wild Card Weekend. But when I have, by the way, Marcus did say, a gentleman sharing with me here, Marcus did say he believes the Eagles are the worst team of the 14 playoff teams.
Is that right?
That's terrible. That's so terrible.
I said it yesterday. I said I think
yes.
the two worst teams are playing on Monday night in all of the NFL playoffs.
And you're not incorrect. I mean, it's hard to argue with you about that. It just is, to me, that's crazy to me. And that they would be considered that. But if you haven't seen Dan Orlovsky breakdown, and we can't play it for you because you have to see what he's pointing to, but it's on social media. Check it out. It's on his own social media. I retweeted it last night, quote tweeted it, so you may want to check that out. So there's no Joel Embiid tonight in Atlanta. Bob, the same stories seem to be, it just is every time I want to get super bought in, notice I used it for you, is super bought into the Sixers. It seems like some of the same storylines come back to be like, well, can you count on Joel Embiid to be healthy? I'm not ripping him because he's hurt, but I am saying, is the storyline ever going to change where I go, I can count on him that he's going to be healthy this time he comes around?
Yeah, the magic number's like 65. It has been, always will be. Can you get him to play that many games? Is that a good enough number for him to be ready for the postseason, or good enough for your team to get where they want to be in the regular season as far as seedings? He twisted an ankle. It was legit. We all saw him roll
Absolutely
it against,
legit.
And I didn't mind that he missed 4 games on a road trip then. Did something to his knee the other night, grabbed it, and was kind of gimpy, and then missed the game the next night after they played New York, and now they're holding him out again. If there's some swelling in there, there's some cautiousness about flying when you have swelling in a knee, an ankle, whatever, because when you're in that cabin pressure, from what I was told,
right?
It does, yeah. The swelling could get even worse. So cautious rather than full bore. Okay, I guess we just have to learn to accept 65 games. I mean, that's what we're talking about every year, 65 games. How it comes, when the games don't come that he plays in, will that upset us? Maybe, but I think it's just an acceptance thing. That
these aren't even the gifted nights off. I mean, this is the injured situation, and you don't want him going out there and potentially aggravating something else that is more. But it is one of the things, the nagging thoughts in the back of my head, that as much as I want to buy in, why do I believe that come mid-April, early May, we'll be talking about a Joel Embiid hampered if only he was healthy? What can we see? And, big guys have stayed healthy before, too.
Oh, I had a list in my old notebook, John, and it might have been before. I think you were
remember.
here.
No,
yeah.
I remember you coming down with this.
And the Tim Duncans and the Shaquille O'Neals and the Hakeem Olajuwons. And, I took like every big man. The one that really stuck with me is Eldrunas Zalgus. Wait, why can't
Ilgauskas.
Wow, I'm really struggling. So he had that foot problem for years that hindered him, and it was like, is it going to ruin his career? He went on and played more than 70 games for like 8 straight seasons. After it, now I only included big men because the Michael Jordans and those guys, my God, it was ridiculous. But like those guys just played, and I don't know if it's for some reason. And I've been asked, was it his upbringing? Did he have good health care as a kid? Over in Cameroon, and I don't know. I don't put it. Joel Embiid doesn't want to get hurt. I don't think anybody wants to get hurt.
He's not a malingerer.
No.
He's not a guy that's looking to malinger.
He just has these things happen, and I've gotten to the point, it might have been while I was covering the team and talking to people, that 65 has always been the number in my head. Now, in full seasons, we're talking last year, 66, 68, shortened seasons, 51-51, 64, 63. Okay, but I think we got to live with the 65. We just have to live with it. Now, Pat, you know this better than I do. What's the new rule about MVP? You can only miss so many games?
He can only miss like 8 or 9 more games, and you have to play 65 games.
Oh, is that
he
the
can
number?
only play. He can only miss 8 or 9 more games for the season, and if he misses those, he's out.
So I don't know if that's in the back of anybody's mind. It shouldn't be. But yeah, John, you talk about the planned days off. does that get hindered when he's already getting days off because of injuries
Well,
that
it has
weren't
to be,
planned,
right?
you know? So they'll have some back-to-backs coming up. There's going to be a flooded schedule in there. You know, the old 4 games in 7 nights is going to happen sometime soon, and all of those things are coming up. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
We have the game will be on the Fanatic tonight, and then the Flyers game will be over on MMR, right, Pat?
Yep.
Flyers games go to MMR at that point. Haley was out yesterday seeing Jamie Drysdale getting his first opportunity to meet with the media and get a taste of what it's like to play for John Tortorella. And there was an interesting story about how he found out about the trade in soundbite number 1. Pat, I want everybody to hear.
It was pretty wild for me, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of just flew to Nashville, and we were about to go on a 2-week road trip, so just kind of standard. And then I was hanging out with a couple guys on the team, and I got a call from our GM, and he just said, we traded you to Philly, and a couple other things, and then I got a call from Danny Briere, and he just said, welcome, excited to have you, and that was kind of the process. And then I got on a flight at 5:45 this morning, and here we are, so good to be here.
Now, John Tortorella is a guy who a lot of times in soundbite 6, Pat, a lot of people say, Cutter Gauthier didn't want to play for John Tortorella. That John Tortorella was like going to scare him off, or there was things about this organization. Here's what Jamie Drysdale had to say about playing for Tortorella.
I mean, obviously everyone's heard whatever you hear in the media and stuff, but in terms of players, I've only heard good things. Like people that have actually played for him, I've only heard good things. In terms of people that have reached out to me, said he's a very honest guy, black and white. You never wondering where you're at with him. Shoots you straight, and I feel like that's all kind of us players can ask for. It's just to make you better at the end of the day. So yeah, I'm excited to play for him and learn from him.
Now, straight shooter, Bob, is how John Tortorella is described. And Jamie told everybody, what did John Tortorella say to him when he had a chance to talk to him?
He called me right after the game, which again was nice as well, and just said, essentially, excited to have you. Don't worry about logistics, anything like that. Just get your butt out here and look forward to meeting you face to face. And that's always nice to hear. And then I got to meet him this morning, and again, he's just like, just make sure you get settled in, comfortable. He was great, and all the coaches were great as well. So just gonna, pick up on as much as I can as soon as possible, and just go from there.
Great job, Haley, being out there yesterday, and Jamie Drysdale will make his debut reportedly tonight, and you'll hear it on WMMR as the Flyers take on the Canadians.
Yeah, it's I can't wait to see how this all plays out. Like, what the hell went on here? I reached out to a couple GMs in different sports last night and said, any chance the Flyers really don't know why he didn't want to come here? And I got laughed at. No chance in hell. They're meeting with parents. They're meeting with everyone. The Flyers know exactly why, which is no big deal. I don't expect them to tell us. But,
But the thing is, everything that the guy had said was, I'm thrilled to be a Flyer. I'm built to be a Flyer.
He changed his
I want to
mind.
be here.
I don't know why. And he's public enemy number 1, and he very well should be. And I think I was talking to Matty Cord yesterday, and he was saying, it'll be fun the first time he comes here and gets drilled into the boards, because they're going to look for him. And I would, too, in all honesty. You don't put my team down like that. You don't put my organization down like that. So, yeah, I'd be not playing tough guy, but I'd be looking for him just to let him know, who are you as an 18, 19-year-old to treat an organization like that?
Hey, Matt, on one of our favorites on Twitter, says Monday's Martin Luther King Day, and a lot of offices are closed, including his. He said so. He would.
Forgot about that.
He would gladly take just Tuesday off.
Pat, we're off on Monday, right?
He would gladly.
No.
No, we're working.
No, we're gonna work
on Monday. Yeah, we're working on Monday.
Oh.
But it's hey, it'd be a way to get down there and get on the trip. So
you only have to take one day off.
You don't have to take Tuesday off, right?
Oh,
you
that's terrific.
Now another
it's another example of the NFL screwing this city over with their schedule.
Another one of our fine consumers says, Gestate says, Kincade, stop putting it all on Johnson. Howie had a part, head coach had a part, and the owner had a part. Stop with the lazy take. It's the performance of Johnson that we're talking about. And if you didn't listen to what I said, the fact that the head coach won't take over play calling tells me that that's a cowardly approach. So I blamed the head coach. Whoever put Brian Johnson in that job, they all deserve part of the blame. Because if you watch, it is the most damning thing and I watch NFL Live way too much. It is the most damning indictment I have ever seen on Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni's offense that is displayed on the big board for you with Dan Orlovsky yesterday. I retweeted it. Go to my social media at John Kincade. You can watch it for yourself. I've never seen anything that honestly is as damning. He's not prepared. And obviously, Nick's not prepared to take over play calling, so something about Coach Sirianni's not prepared. And it's not good. It's a bad situation.
It just seems so simplistic to me, and sometimes sports are more simplistic than people make it. There was some plays that really worked well this year that they just refused to run again, and I don't understand it. And if another team is keying in on stopping slants over the middle, I'm sorry, with all your NFL training and all, you run a slant over the middle, you get that coverage to go there, and then something else is open. Like it's really not that hard.
I'm surprised that Pat is looking at this even past Monday night's game, but he's doing it. We'll talk about it next. John Kincade Show here on 97.5, The Fanatic. I love the BetParks app. I recommend it to you. It's the only one that I use, and they're the official winning partner of the Philadelphia 76ers.
The NFL Wild Card. This is the John Kincade Show. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
I already have two people asking, well, how are you giving away the trip from Philly Sports Trips down to Tampa? Because other people have off on Monday. You'll find out. We'll tell you about it tomorrow, and then you will find out if you can win it on Friday. So be tuned in.
That's not bad.
That's a good idea.
It's a pretty good deal there.
I hadn't thought of the King holiday. I hadn't thought of
I didn't either. I forgot Monday was a holiday. I know a lot of Eagles fans were pissed off that the game was on Monday because if it was on Sunday, even Sunday night,
you would have had Monday off to
Monday
travel.
to recover and all that. Yeah, or even if you're just staying here partying. So yeah, it's a perfect timing for a sports trip, right?
It's absolutely perfect. We'll find out how you're going to win it tomorrow on the show, but make sure you're here Friday for your chance to win it.
Hey, I got to give a shout out, John, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
H&H Heating and Air Conditioning.
Oh, I love those folks.
Yeah, so I was having a little problem at my house. We just got a new unit in the summertime from H&H, but for some reason, two of the bedrooms in my house were freezing. So I did everything, checked the windows, all that stuff, called H&H, come out the next day. The guy was there, and the guy, Steve Goebel.
Hi, Stevie.
He's so excited. When you deal with people that are doing something you don't know how to do, he came in, and he's one of those guys where, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this. And, couldn't wait, and finally figured out that two wires were kind of coming into it, an old wire and a new wire, and I was actually getting air conditioning coming out
No wonder you
in
were
my
freezing.
bedroom and my daughter's bedroom. So my man Steve found it, fixed it, perfect, was there for a few hours. But, just to watch this guy, how excited he was to find the problem, fix the problem, it was awesome. H&H, thank you very much. Appreciate you, Steve.
I'm a little surprised that as we look towards Monday night, and I know Pat's as excited as anybody about, look, playoff games are playoff games. You're going to be excited to watch it. You're going to be wondering how it's all going to unfold. But, Pat, you're saying you're already looking into something else.
Yeah. This brings me no joy, gentlemen. No joy whatsoever.
That's all right. We'll help you out, Pat.
But I have to admit, with all the coaching changes that have gone on past couple days and whatnot, I'm kind of sitting there with I don't want to say FOMO because nobody wants a coaching change. Coaching change usually means instability.
Absolutely.
But I'm sitting there with a little bit of FOMO, going, I kind of looking ahead to the off season, kind of looking ahead to hiring some of these coordinators.
Are you looking ahead to try to strategize? Or are you looking ahead to be more optimistic about that next year could be better? Or both?
Both. I mean, look, I hand up, and I hope to God I'm wrong about this, but right now I have no faith that they're going to do anything in the playoffs but win one playoff game and then get smacked. So as weird as this sounds, as ridiculous as it sounds, as sacrilegious as it sounds, would it be better off that they just lose so they can get a jump start? And at the very least, hiring some coordinators, maybe hiring a head coach. A lot of guys have been out there already that kind of pique your interest. If you're not going to do anything, it's not like I'm cheering for them to lose. But in the long run, would it be beneficial for the organization if they're going to move on from Sirianni to just kind of get this season, get it over with?
You got your hands on the Band-Aid already. You're ready to rip it off.
Yeah, I mean, and
I understand it.
I'm not saying I want that to happen. I mean, I want the Eagles to go as far as they can, and I want them to play as many games as possible. But I can't help but think maybe for the organization, it might be best. It's very similar to my thought process on Joel Embiid. If you think the window's closed for the Sixers, if you don't think that they're ever going to compete for a championship, then trade him now while his value's high. He's an MVP candidate, and he'll be an MVP candidate as long as he's got the games. And right now, I think he is the MVP in the league. But if you're not going to do anything, if you're not going to win a championship, what's the point of what good is that having him around and decreasing asset and value? So with the Eagles, though, I mean, every day that goes by, guys like Mike Vrabel are going to be scooped up pretty quickly.
Is that the one who's caught your eye?
Well, I mean, that was the one that surprised me the most yesterday.
That was a total surprise.
That was very surprising. But even coordinators wise, I don't. Mike Vrabel is not going to be a coordinator. He's going to be hired in about 10 minutes. He's probably waiting to see what's going on with New England. But some of these veterans that are getting let go, these veteran head coaches, they're probably not going to be on the street for long. And I'd like to get a jump start on it.
Well, let me see. There's Tennessee, there's Atlanta, there's Carolina, there's Las Vegas, there's LA, the LA Chargers.
I think it's only a matter of time before Vegas announces Antonio Pierce.
So you think Antonio Pierce is getting
I'd be kind of floored if he's not. Yeah, I mean, Mark Davis.
They let his assistant coaches look for work.
Yeah, I mean,
that surprises
were
me.
those his assistants or were they? Did he inherit them?
Oh, okay. I never thought about it that way.
The players seem to love him, and Mark Davis seemed to be a big fan of him as well. At the end of the year, he was giving him praise. So I would kind of be shocked if he doesn't go.
I'm missing one.
Antonio Pierce?
Tennessee, Atlanta, Carolina, Las Vegas, the Chargers.
Washington.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, if the Eagles' job was available on Tuesday morning, are any of those 6 outposts organizations more attractive than the Eagles?
No, you can.
No.
I mean, there's limited. Not even filling one hand. That's more. All you have to do is look at the past success of this Philadelphia Eagles team. We're talking over a 25-year span.
Sure.
I mean, we have to admit, it's one of the greatest organizations in all of the NFL. Super Bowl champions just 5 years ago, another Super Bowl appearance. You have a quarterback locked up, whether you believe in him or not. You don't have to worry about that position moving forward, or you come in and say, I can even improve him and make him more like he was last year. This is a really attractive spot, I think. 2 young wide receivers, an offense that just looks really good if you get it rolling again. I think this is a very interesting. Now, with that being said, if I'm a candidate for a head coach, there's pressure added to it.
Oh, there's
expectations. Whereas if you go to a Carolina, Washington, it's kind of like you're going to be given some leeway.
Now look, I just want to say it again. I'm not hoping this happens, but I'm just wondering in the back of my mind, would it be better off?
Well, I can tell you Tuesday morning, Pat, it sort of runs into what the whole theory is here. If you wanted, let's say you were interested in a Mike Vrabel, or you were interested in even getting in with a Jim Harbaugh, talking to a Jim Harbaugh or something like that, losing on Monday night should absolutely be what you're hoping for. Because especially if you think, yeah, they could beat a bad Tampa Bay team, and they're not a great team themselves, but to be able to have your pick of the litter, I believe some of these guys will be off the board by the end of divisional playoff weekend. So you won't have them available.
And that's kind of my line of thinking with this. Like, yes, as a fan, do I want them to go far? Absolutely. Like, I want them to go as far as possible. I want to talk about Eagles football as long as I can because the offseason is, I mean, it feels like, it's that gift from Titanic, like 84 years. But for the organization, I can't help but think, and I wonder if I'm the only one, the only one that's thinking this, but if it was better off that they just get this over with, that they just put this season to bed and they can start getting a jump start on either looking for a head coach or looking for coordinators at the very least, or looking for a defensive coordinator at the very least. Like, I'm starting to think, like it might be advantageous. It might not be the worst thing in the world, I should say, if they lost on Monday. Because at the very least, they would get a jump start, and as opposed to delaying it one more week where they're not able to interview people. And even you figure if they lose, it's probably going to take a day for them to actually fire guys.
Sure, but so they could be on the phone though Monday night after the game.
Yeah, and I wonder how likely that is. But I mean, I'm wondering, is the juice worth the squeeze? I guess in the long run, like if you're missing out on a top candidate.
What's funny is I never thought about it this way.
Yeah, I hate.
I think this is where the NFL has to change things and make a rule that you're not allowed to talk to head coaches, coordinators. You're not allowed to talk to anybody else until the day after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, like for the
it's just such an unfair advantage to teams that aren't there.
For the Eagles, like we know they're going to be looking at the very least for a defensive coordinator, and the fact that they can't talk to anybody until their season's done, whereas these other teams that have already moved on from their guys, they're able to get a jump start on things. It does. It sucks. I would love an NFL coaching free agency a month before NFL free agency
that'd be pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean that'd be awesome, right? Like
all the coordinators, all like on a big board, all the coaches, all the coordinators, all the
you're able to bring them in, interview them. Now that process might drag out a little too long, and that's maybe why there'd be some pushback on it. But I can't help but think, man, like if they're not going to do anything, and I at this point don't think they are. Not doesn't mean much, but Can't help but think maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
You know what makes me laugh, Pat? And I'm not laughing at you.
Oh, I want to throw up in my mouth as I
Every
say that.
topic we've gotten into this week, or even you presented or we get into, the angst that I hear from you,
Yeah.
I think I imagine Bill in his Toyota and and Joe in his Ford F-150 driving to work, saying, "You're right, Egan. You're right," because they're feeling the same exact thing. We so want going to a playoff game. Nobody wants to see them lose a game, but in the long run, is it something that potentially would be more advantageous, or as Bob says, have they just sucked the life out of you? Because I believe there are just as many guys and ladies driving to work that are championing what Bob sort of has seen since the beginning of the week.
It kind of reminds me of the Giants game a couple years ago, and they were looking to get Devontae Smith.
Right.
They threw the game. Like, nobody wants to see the Eagles lose a game. But in that situation, it benefited them. It benefited them to tank that game and get the draft pick. And for this situation, yeah, there is a lot of angst in my voice because I don't think people are driving going, yeah, Egan. I think they're driving and saying, shut up, Egan, because the reality of what I'm saying, it's a gross reality.
Thing is, the angst in your voice is different than you. Usually with you, it's, oh, here's my bold opinion, say it with my chest.
No, there's no saying it with my chest. This
angst.
Sucks.
Well,
this is gross.
When you break it down, what's more important, one playoff win or getting 2 new coordinators?
Oh, 2 new coordinators.
That's kind of where...
Not a question.
That's how you break down what you just said.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
That's crazy. Hey, there's one thing. Howie Roseman has a history of building winners. Like, that Howie can build a winner. The organization can build a winner. Since Andy Reid has left, think of it this way. You had Andy Reid leave. Chip Kelly walk in the door. Doug Peterson walk in the door. Now Nick Sirianni walk in the door. And right off the bat, every single one of them able to have sex. That's great.
I'm sorry. What?
That is amazing.
734.
Good for them.
Yeah.
I meant to say,
They
it was
must
Blue
have went
Chew.
to Blue Chew.
It was Blue Chew.
Use the promo code
was
Fanatic.
Become a head coach. A lot of things become available.
It was success, I was meaning to say. I think sex comes along with it. With that paycheck, I would imagine sex comes along with it.
I could bang a pumpkin pie.
It could. But all of these guys have managed to come in. They hire a new coach and they win. They hire a new coach and they come in and they have success. And so to me, I wonder, after all the sustaining that they did under Andy Reid, why can't the hires, Bob, be sustained? Why can't they sustain success anymore? Why? I don't understand it.
I do. I like this subject that you brought up. I think it's more of a circumstance-driven thing. So let's go. If you go one by one, Chip Kelly, nobody liked him. He made horrible trades. He ran a defense into the ground with this style, and moving on from him, right thing to do.
Yes.
Okay. Then you get Doug Peterson and the wild success that he has so quickly and gets you your first ever Super Bowl. And then it becomes, I wonder if it became a battle of, hey, I'm a Super Bowl champion coach. Well, I'm still your owner, and I'm still your boss. And then worlds collide and him wanting to keep people that the ownership group didn't want to keep. So that becomes a circumstance. And now you go with Nick Sirianni, and I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if he's going to be out the door after 3 years. But this seems to be based more on why you normally would get rid of a head coach, and that's performance. And I don't know. Sustainability, our society isn't like that anymore, right? Society is very quick hitting, want results right away. Here we are. It's like workouts. Workouts used to be, you sit and you bench press 15 times for 3 sets. Now it's like bench press 5 times, run over there and
right.
get on. It's
get
just
on the treadmill, then jump and do
it's
this.
a quick hitting society, and has that bled into the way Jeffrey Lurie believes and Howie Roseman believe that if it's great, great, but if it isn't, we got to change. I don't know, but of the past guys that I brought up that they got rid of pretty quickly, this one would seem to be the most normal if they did it.
Hey, Whip wants to have a word with Pat Egan. Whip, good morning. You're on the Fanatic.
Egan, have you lost your mind? Are you listening to what you're saying?
Sometimes.
You're saying it may not be big if we lose to the Bucks in the first round of the wild card playoffs.
Uh-huh.
That would be the worst thing.
Yeah.
5, 6 weeks ago, we were an NFL juggernaut. Now I'm listening to you guys, and we're talking about it's not the worst thing if we lose first round of the Bucks. I thought my radio was broken. I didn't know what.
I don't enjoy saying that, but they're not a juggernaut now. I think Bob laid it out perfectly. What's more important, they win one playoff game or they get two new coordinators?
Yeah, answer that question for him, Whip. Do you want? Is it more important to win
look,
Monday
this topic
night?
sucks, Whip. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, no, Whip, I hear what your reaction is, and I understand it.
Like, I had that same reaction when I thought about this when I was coming off of bath salts.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's just the reality of the situation that we're in.
But think about it, Whip. Go ahead and answer that. What would you rather have? One playoff win, because I think you'll agree. I don't think you're going to go to Dallas or San Fran and win a game. Or two coordinators that you can get in on that you may not be able to should you win that one game.
There's no promise that we're going to get the coordinators right, though. That the unknown is what scares me.
That is the truth. Here's what I would ask you,
Good
too.
point.
Is there do you believe they were a juggernaut this year at any time?
At any time, we were.
I don't. I questioned all the time. Like, people kept telling me, everything's okay. Everything's okay. They're winning. Why would you complain? Why are you being critical?
I got to tell you, I think I agree with Whip a little bit on this. Because you can go more to the side of they're not even playing good ball and they're winning 10 of 11. That's a juggernaut.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay. I get it. Whip, you think Pat's lost his mind a little bit.
Well,
I think he lost his mind. I couldn't believe what I was listening to. I listen to you guys every morning. I never call. And I had to pull over to dial real quick.
Hey, Pat, take care of it. Whip, be
Thanks,
careful.
Whip.
Be careful out there in Chester County. There's some tree limbs down and stuff like that. I didn't have any problem getting in. Bob, you saw a little more.
Yeah, I had some
detouring
road
around.
closures. It wasn't too bad. I thought it was going to be a lot worse, but the closure that the road I had to take because of the closure was only closed in one direction, not in my direction, so worked out okay. But yeah, a lot of limbs down in my neighborhood and on a major highway in my area.
All right, Scotty says to me, he said, John, you're overlooking one thing. Yes, the Eagles franchise would be the most attractive opening, but Justin Herbert is the biggest prize sitting there waiting to work with. You agree with that?
It's interesting. It's really interesting. He's good. He's got a big arm.
He hasn't won a damn thing. He comes up small in a lot of, like every big game he's ever played in, he comes up small.
Yeah, surrounding cast here is pretty interesting. I would find out, I would call Devontae Smith right away and say, hey, what's your plans? You like it in Philly? Because I'm thinking of coming and coaching there, and I really want you part of it. Are you thinking of signing there? But as far as organizations go, Justin Herbert's a good name, but I think I'd choose Philadelphia over L.A.
I think
it's not
I'd
even close.
You don't even think it's close.
No.
Even though you get to work with the like what is considered, he's considered the crown jewel available of quarterbacks. I would think even above Hurts.
I don't know why. As you said, he hasn't won a damn thing. He also has weapons just like Jalen Hurts.
He does.
And he hasn't won with them. I mean, he doesn't have the. If you're a coach, you don't have the offensive line the Eagles do. You don't have the wide receivers. You don't running game. I mean, that's a question mark because DeAndre Swift's in his last year. But I mean, quarterback wise, I think it's at the very least a wash.
Can I ask you the scary question though, Pat? What's that offensive line look like next year?
Yeah, and I thought about that too. I thought what's the status of Kelsey, and you'd have to know that, and Lane Johnson, but. But even though, I mean, even with that, the only position they haven't gotten ready to replace is Lane Johnson, which is a monster position. I mean, he's been the best right tackle in football for a decade plus. So
I think since he redid his contract that carried over for 2 years, redid the parts of 2023 and 2024, I think that told you last year that he's 2024 will probably be his exit. That he wouldn't exit the organization the same time that Jason Kelsey does. I think this collapse is going to hasten. I don't think there's going to be any question that Jason Kelsey heads off in the sun and into the sunset. And I think
it's a tough sell to bring him back.
I think it hastens it along.
Maybe.
Do you want to start over with a new coach, new coaching staff? Because that requires a lot more.
Yeah, if that happens, very good point.
Like if that happened,
probably
yeah.
out.
I mean,
yeah.
There's a lot of interest. Hey, if you think Pat lost his mind, we always welcome you in.
No.
I don't think the crazy thing is, Pat, is I hear it's just different for you. Like this is it's very different.
It's a gross topic.
I like that.
But you got to ask the hard questions on this show.
Even if
This isn't some puff piece program we're doing here. We ask the tough questions.
even if they're gross.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Yeah.
I like it. Pat's like, this content is gross.
This is cough medicine gross.
But stay tuned.
But we have to do it.
We got more of it coming for you all week long. 610-632-0975. Hey, get a little off your chest with this Eagles team as we go forward. John Kincade Show here on 97.5, The Fanatic. Look, winter's here. And next week, supposedly, there's 2 chances for snow. So when
inside story on the Birds as they get ready for the NFL Wild Card. The John Kincade Show, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And Friday morning, a reminder, we will be giving away a trip for two to be able to go to the Birds game in Tampa with our friends from Philly Sports Trips, where you get airfare, hotel, and a VIP tailgate party featuring Hollis Thomas's 50th birthday party. How will you win it? You got to be listening tomorrow. And then Friday, you got your chance to win it right here on The Fanatic. So make sure you are a part of it here on the John Kincade Show. There's somebody that I think is getting a bit of a free pass, and maybe you'll disagree. I'll share that with you coming up here. But first, Marty joins us. Marty, good morning. You're on The Fanatic.
Hey, John. Hey, how's everybody doing over there?
Hey,
Doing all
Marty.
right, buddy.
Did you guys do well with the storms last night?
Yeah, the wind sounded like a freight train.
The freight train came through my yard and knocked down a good pine tree, and fortunately, it missed my fence to my house and my deck, but lost power. But other than that, we're doing good.
Other than that, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys are doing safe, and I'm glad you're 3 for 3 with the cancer treatments, man.
Thank you.
We got to keep on hearing you on the radio. Me and my son Justin.
Thank you, Justin and Marty. I appreciate you both very much.
Yeah. Now, Pat, listen, I'm not arguing with you, but your question was, do you want the whole coaching staff fired or just the coordinators down?
If they lose against Tampa Bay, I would say it's the whole coaching staff.
Oof. I'm not that far off from you. I mean, I want to keep Sirianni one more year. I'm not 100% blaming him for the coaching staff's faults, but of course he's the head man in charge, and he went up on the stage saying, "Oh yeah, it's my fault, it's my fault." He's kind of covering for everybody. So this year I'll give him a pass. I'm not a huge fan of even watching Monday night's game, but if I see them lose and I see the coaching staff going, I wouldn't mind seeing some coaches coming from teams that just got fired, stuff like that. I mean, but I'm not ready for Sirianni to go yet. Next year, okay, let's talk about next year.
What does he do well, Marty?
Guys, honest truth,
I mean, like that's what I'm asking is if we and I'm by the way, I have the same opinion you do. I sort of want to see him back with new coordinators, but what does he do well?
I understand. I know he's not the offense coordinator, and he goes, "Okay, we're going to do this play. I know he's not the defense coordinator. I want you guys to stop this and that and the third." But I can't fire a coach after him just going to the Super Bowl the previous year. Now, if he does a Peterson and just falls flat on his face and go, what was it, 4-11-1?
4-11-1.
All right. But I can't fire him yet. I mean, he's kept the train moving, but I mean, they just need breaks every once in a while, I guess you want to say.
Where's the train? Where's the train heading, though? I mean, that's what I mean. Is like we got to know where it's going, you know.
I really think losing the coordinators after the Super Bowl killed them, and I kind of like the guy said earlier about having a free agent coaching staff after the Super Bowl. I kind of like that idea, but yeah, I think they got shot in the foot last year, and it's kind of hard to go back-to-back Super Bowls or back-to-back deep in the playoffs. I'm not on the line of, hey, let's fire Sirianni, but
I got you.
But
I got you.
I give him another year, but coaching staff's got to go. I say keep the special teams coach because they turned it around, and definitely keep Statland around. But other than that, I hear the linebackers coach gets fired. Okay. I hear I'm not ready for the whole
wholesale
team to get decapitated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of on Marty's side on this, pending maybe Monday night, that you can't forget the big resume that he compiled before these last 6 games in Nick Sirianni. Yeah, what does he do? I don't know, but whatever he did last year, you can say the same thing, but we didn't question because it was 14-3 and they went to a Super Bowl. They were 10-1 this year, and maybe a little smattering of, well, what exactly is he overseeing? We're doing this on a 6-game stretch here, and I'm cautioning myself, like, hey, you got to look back and see how good things were, and he still was the head coach then. So your question's legit, John. What does he do? But why didn't we ask that at 14-3? Because it was probably similar.
Because the coordinators we didn't know how much the coordinators were the reason.
Yeah, and we didn't have a problem with it. We didn't have a problem with Nick Sirianni last year.
No, because the coordinators were good. And half of this town, more than half of it, wanted to run the defensive coordinator out of town. Like, the talk was we were winning despite the defensive coordinator. And we didn't realize how shaky things were at the head coach position. Jeff has an answer, though, on something that Nick Sirianni does well. Jeff, good morning. You're on the Fanatic.
Hey, John. Good morning. Good morning, guys. So one of the things that I heard the previous caller said, he asked a question about what he did well. I mean, he had this Rolodex of mentors. Kept hearing about this Rolodex of mentors that he had when everything was going good that he would lean on, to give him advice. And where's this Rolodex of mentors now?
Yeah, I mean, well, no, it was his brother bringing back the memories of what happened when they had that tough game before the state title game in New York. I mean, and I'm not trying to mock it that much. I love high school coaches, and I was one myself. But seriously, I don't believe that tells me I could tell John Tortorella what to do.
Yeah, I mean, anyway. So a couple red flags. I mean, I was in Las Vegas, same game you guys were. And remember when it was third down, he decided not to punt, but he should have punted. I mean, we were all kind of scratching our heads on that.
Yes.
And then he's a receivers coach. The other red flag, the receivers coach. He constantly gets penalties on the receivers blocking defenders.
Now that's sort of declined this year, though.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give you that. That declined. But the wide receiver screen. I mean, he's a receiver. I mean, isn't he not the subject matter expert of the football team as the head coach? Is he not that?
I mean,
you would think so.
He should be.
And look, coaching is a lot more than
Jeff.
just the 3 hours on Sunday, as we all know. I mean, it's a week full of all this planning and overthinking and overcoaching and all, but it's all there, and he's overseeing all that. And maybe his best attribute last year was not getting in the way of a Shane Steichen or getting in the way of a Jonathan Gannon, but at times making calls during the game knowing how good those guys were. Like this Eagles team, what did they get the label of under Nick Sirianni? Oh, they're really aggressive. Really aggressive.
Yes,
they go for it on fourth down, and they do this. And those are his calls. You know, I don't think he's letting Shane Steichen say, yeah, we're going to go for it here. So, you know, obviously there are things that he does. I'm still on the. I hate to say this. I really do hate to say this, but the way I'm talking today, I think in the back of my mind that Monday he's coaching for his Philadelphia Eagles life.
And now the one thing I would say to you too is that, and Pat, it sort of brings it into here because we were the very first day we started this show was the day after Doug Peterson's last game coaching the Philadelphia Eagles. Doug Peterson made the playoffs 3 years in a row, won the Super Bowl, had one bad year, and they fired him. Now, it was over hiring of assistant coaches and wanting to retain different people, but I think if you can pull the trigger on that, on the only guy who ever hoisted a Lombardi as your head coach, I would think that Nick Sirianni would be a much easier decision to make.
Yeah, they don't care about optics, and they know a lot more of what's going on than we do. Like we sit there and say, what does this guy do here? And there's a chance that a lot of people in NovaCare are saying the exact same thing. But on the flip side, there's a chance that they know exactly what he does, and he does a lot more than he lets on. And maybe he does go out there and look like an idiot and is willing to fall on the sword on purpose, you know, and say really dumb things because he's defending stupid actions of people that, you know, he doesn't have a say in. You know, maybe there is a situation of Howie Roseman really likes Brian Johnson, and he doesn't want to ruffle feathers with Jalen Hurts, and that's why he's keeping him around, and Nick Sirianni really wanted to move on. It's going to tell you a lot what happens to Nick Sirianni moving forward. I mean, if they end up losing on Monday and they move on from him, then yeah, that's a pretty good indication that there probably was a lot of people going, what exactly does he do here? But if they end up winning or losing and he keeps the job, then that's probably a pretty good indication that he does a lot more than he lets on and that the public sees.
Yeah, and if it is his offense, as he said so often, you know, that's a damning grade on him.
That really is.
We see the horrible wide receiver routes that are run. We see an offense that's not picking up blitzes. We see blatantly obvious things that they either do or don't do offensively. So, if he's going to take that all on him, well, this year at least that's a mark against him.
When he says it's his offense, Bob, and the offense is going off the rails, and you have guys like Dan Orlovsky saying this is the easiest plays and the easiest scheme to defend. If it's your offense, don't you then take control, take the wheel, and say, I'm not going to delegate play calling to someone else. I'm going to call the plays because it's my offense. I understand this. And to me, that should be damning on whether he keeps his job. I mean, it's...
Yeah, I was surprised that he didn't take it over, and I, talked about it like 3 weeks ago. I thought that maybe he would, and it's almost like, all right, I don't want to say be a man. I really don't love that, but yeah, kind of man up, take control of it. Stop saying, yeah, it's my offense. I hand everything off to Brian Johnson. Well, it wasn't working, so take it over yourself, or at least have two minds try to run one thing. I would love to be on a sideline with Nick Sirianni and watch a game on TV and say, look, you just had that reaction to that play. Why? Were you upset with the player or were you upset with the play call?
Landis Block and Concrete, your jaw-dropping backyard paradise awaits you. They bring you Adam Schefter every single week. And, Adam, we appreciate you. I should say college football national champion Adam Schefter with great seats. Somehow he gets them right up against the deadline. That was pretty great, Adam. I would say you.
What do you mean?
You enjoyed. They were great. I mean, we could see what it was. 50-yard line, Pat, or was it 40?
About 48.
Yeah, that's about right. Somewhere in that range. I knew a couple of people, and I'll just say this to you. Friday night, I was with my brother-in-law, who also went to Michigan, married my sister, and I said, "Are you going to the game on Monday night?" And he said, "Oh yeah." And I said, "You seem like no way you'll miss it." He said, "Yeah." He said, "I missed." In 1989, I missed going to the national championship game in Seattle when Michigan played for the basketball championship against Seton Hall. He said, and I was taken aback. He goes, to this day, it is great regrets of my life that I didn't go. Now, in 1989, me and my college roommates waited online at the Michigan Athletic Department. It was a different day and age back then the way they did it. You could go buy as many tickets as you wanted. Students.
Right.
So we bought like 4 tickets. We kept one for ourselves. We sold the other 3, and we financed our trip to Seattle, Washington, where we watched Michigan beat Illinois on Saturday to get to the Final Four to beat Seton Hall. We spent the weekend in Seattle, one of the greatest weekends of my life. We watched them win the national championship, and me and my college roommates were there on Monday night to watch them win the national championship again. So as I said to my buddies, 89-24, 1989, 2024, we got to witness that school bring us great happiness and just an awesome thing to do. And I got to bring my kids, so they got to experience it as well, which is pretty neat.
Congratulations on that. Every single week when we bring you on, I feel like we're talking about, the Eagles are going to get this figured out. It's getting worse it's getting worse and worse, Adam.
I know.
And I don't understand.
I've watched, John. I've watched.
What would be Nick Sirianni's strongest case for staying? Because right now, people are discussing it.
I know. I just can't even believe this has become a thing. I can't even believe it. That this team that's gone to the playoffs in 3 straight years under him.
Yep.
The team that was in the Super Bowl under a year ago that should have won the game under him now is truly, from everybody out in the world, under fire. Like everybody in Philly wants him gone. It's unbelievable to me how quickly this shifted.
But you're not you're not in any. I want to make this clear. You're not criticizing fans for having that feeling, are you?
I'm not criticizing fans. I am pointing out that in the day and age that we live in, it is what have you done for me lately, period. I don't give a rat's you-know-what that you've been to the playoffs 3 straight years, almost won this. You're not winning now? Team's getting worse? Man, you better step it up or we want you gone. Like, it's just the world we live in. It's a function of these jobs and the scrutiny and the criticism and the life that they all have to live with, the immense pressure that they have. It's a lot. Like, I'm not criticizing it at all. I just don't think I don't think it's very rational and very forward thinking. It's immediate, like the world we live in. We want information right now. Well, there it is on X. We want, again, we want everything microwaved, everything, including our coaches. We want them nuked if they're not winning. Like, you better win now or you're gone. And so that's the part that just amazes and disappoints. I get it. I'm not criticizing the fans about it. That's how it is. And let me say this also. The Eagles have been terrible the last month. They've been terrible. So when somebody plays that bad, fans are going to be angry, rightfully so. So when they're angry and the team's struggling, what are they going to want? Someone's head.
Yep, change.
Yeah, that's right.
As surprised as you are at the fan reaction, kind of, Shefty, isn't it more surprising at how this team has just fallen off from their type of play? Like Marcus Spears from ESPN coming out and saying they didn't even look like they wanted to play against the Giants. You've seen good teams play bad before, but have you seen good teams just fall off like this before?
No. Like, and to John's initial point, like, we've been doing this now, it feels like about 6 weeks roughly. I mean, we've been doing it years, but the cycle of negativity surrounding this team, about 6 weeks now?
Yeah, it's been around 6 weeks.
1 and 5.
I think the San Francisco game is where it really, like, they were broken.
I agree. I agree. The wheels came off that day, and they have not really been put back on. And basically, we keep waiting and thinking every week is the week where this is where they get it together and turn back into the Eagles. And they haven't. And they've gotten worse. And now I almost think it's almost like driving past a car accident. You're not putting the Eagles game on anymore to see, okay, is this the week that they turn it back on and become the team that everybody had so much respect for and was so impressed by last year? You're not even expecting, like, I'm going to Tampa Monday night, and I got one eye covered, and I'm like, oy, what's going to happen now? Like, that's how this team has played. Now, maybe they'll turn back into the Eagles, but I think the fact that we've hoped and expected that for so long, that's kind of going out the window right now. Now you're like, oh boy, what are we going to see now?
I know that you talk to people all over the NFL all the time, and I know that you've heard some theories about what the hell's going on between the walls of NovaCare. Spill. Tell us something you're hearing. You're not reporting anything, but things that you're hearing, because you got to be hearing stuff about this team.
Well, I think you do hear things, of course, right? I think this past week, if we're going to work backwards a little bit, honestly, I really believe that when A.J. Brown went down in a game that maybe there might not have been a sense of urgency about, because nobody in their right mind thought that Washington was going to beat Dallas. So really it's an unofficial bye week for the Eagles. And then A.J. Brown goes down holding his knee. And it's almost like another message and sign, okay, that's not what you want to see, with a player that great. And it's time to really, in our minds, check out here and go on to next week. Not an excuse, just that's what I think happened in my mind. That's my evaluation. And I think they were out of last week and on to next week. The moment he went down, they were almost there anyway. And if we go back beyond that, I think that
I know you're hearing some things. I know you're hearing, like, people are saying, okay, these coordinators got to go, or there are players in the locker room who are not pleased. Come on now, I know you're hearing some stuff.
Well, yeah, I've heard players aren't pleased. Of course, they're not playing at the level that they want. Of course, everybody's heard that. That's not unique. Of course, they're not pleased. And the coordinators, I still think, like, Brian Johnson is going to be a head coach one day. Maybe this has slowed down the process and the season hasn't gone the way it wanted. But that guy still is, I think, highly respected. That's what I believe.
He's going to have to scrub. He's going to have to scrub that Dan Orlovsky video breakdown from yesterday, where Dan identifies it as the most rudimentary offense maybe you can even defend ever seen.
Well, and Dan's good at that stuff. And so that's a shot, and that's a challenge to him. But Brian Johnson, I believe, is skilled enough that we'll learn and grow from that, which obviously there's a lot to learn and grow from by Monday night, which is, not what Eagles fans want to hear. I think on the defensive side, I think last in the pool to go hire the defensive coordinator. I've said this to you before. I'll say it again. If Vic Fangio is there, I'd be very curious to know how this team is operating. If Vic is there, I don't mean to oversimplify it and make it that basic. I think it would be entirely different. I think he's that good. And when they were last in the pool to hire a defensive coordinator, it to me that was a setback. And then what happens in the NFL is momentum starts getting away from you, and it just seems like it's just hard to recapture. Just like last year when things were rolling their way and nothing was going to stop them. They couldn't be stopped last year. Everything was going their way. How many teams have a season, 2 straight seasons, where everything is rolling their way all season long? Almost nobody does that. The best teams in football history haven't done that. The 85 Bears didn't do that. The 2001 Ravens didn't do that. The dynastic Cowboys in the mid-90s, they kind of did that a little bit, but even they had some ups and downs. So I think part of the problem is that the expectations were so high, and everybody's been so spoiled by the success of this team that even if it went through adversity this year and didn't play up to the level that they established last year, it never was going to be good enough.
Chef,
that is real. That is something that is going on this year. By the way, and again, I want to be very clear. They have played terrible football the last month. What is their record right now?
11-6.
11-6.
After 10-1. Yeah, but wait, Adam, your daughter brings home A's for the first two months of the spring fall semester, and then the last 6 tests she crashes and burns. You're going. What the hell's going on here?
Absolutely. What happened? And that's what's going on. But I'm trying to give you a broader. Okay, so she brought home A's, and then she crashed and burned, and then
brought home F's, and then bring home F's.
Well, yeah, F's. Well, okay, and what?
Well, I think wait a minute. The Giants game was an F.
Let's extend that, John. Hold on. Let's extend that.
Okay.
She brought home F's. What in the end? And there's still some tests to go. But there's still finals to go. What is the final average at the end of the day? Let's see what the final. Because if you're telling me that she's still going to finish with a 91, okay, it didn't go exactly as I would have liked. We could have made this easier. It should have been better. It should have been a 96. But it's a 91, and we got past it in the finals. Okay? They haven't taken their finals yet. Okay? They had A's, and they've had F's. And now finals are coming. And we don't have a good feeling going into finals. We do not. But they still have to take the test.
Chef
so
T.
I'm glad you brought up that analogy. It's a good one. Mine worked and yours worked, and they fit together to help define this team's season.
You brought up momentum when talking about the Eagles and seasons past. Let's look towards their opponent for Monday night. You got Tampa Bay. Talk about momentum. They've won 5 of 6. The Eagles have lost 5 of 6. Their defense seems to be playing okay. Baker Mayfield's a little banged up. Where are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now?
They're a good, feisty team, but they're not a great team, and they didn't expect to be, in a spot where they're going to have a long, extended playoff. This is all gravy to them, to me. And Baker Mayfield's come in and done a really nice job. He's played well, and Mike Evans is timeless. Same draft class, Odell Beckham Jr. and Lee. Who was the wide receiver? Sammy Watkins. That's amazing, right? And Mike Evans is still going strong, doing what he's doing. They're a good team, but they're flawed. They're not great. And by the way, and we'll see how they do in the finals, like the Eagles, should go down there and win the game. Now, I don't know that they will. Okay, they're not going to win anything playing the way they have recently. But this is a beatable team for them. So here's the first final. And if you bring home another F, you're done. And all this talk about Nick is going to go on and on.
Do you believe?
Away anytime soon.
Do you believe if they would lose at Tampa that Nick Sirianni could find himself out?
I would say no. But I also know that in the National Football League, that wild things happen all the time. And, nobody thought Mike Vrabel was going to be out. There were reports a month ago that he was safe for the next 10 years. And a month later, he's out.
Right.
So these things change. Do I think Nick Sirianni is going to be out if they lose Monday night? I don't. Do I recognize that anything is possible? Yes, I do.
Well, it's going to be an interesting game on Monday. We look forward to watching your coverage. We will watch and bask in the afterglow of your national title. Congratulations!
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, well, we're going down to this past Monday I was in Houston. I took the kids, and then this Monday I'm going to Tampa with the ESPN team, and we'll be there for wall-to-wall coverage all day Monday, which I'm sure Eagles fans will be glued to the TV in high anticipation of Monday of a great performance on Monday night. Right?
Are you jealous of Herb Street being able to take his dog with him? I mean, do you get the same courtesy? You have 4. What are you, 4?
5. I got 5 dogs. Okay, so I can't show favoritism to one and bring one of them because, and plus they're very antisocial. Like I don't know how they do around, we'll see. I mean, they would do well around people, but if they saw another dog, they would flip. So, I'm not, jetting around on,
private jets.
Yeah. I'm not doing that, so.
All right. Thanks, Adam.
So. Unless somebody wants to put the dogs in their laps and take them with me on the flight that I'm on, they're not making the trip there, John. Sorry.
Thank you, Adam. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you,
talk
guys.
to you next
Have
week.
a great week. Good luck Monday night.
We'll look forward to seeing you. Take care, buddy. Thanks, man. It's Adam Schefter joining us on the Comcast Business Hotline, where every day in business is a big day, and Comcast Business gets you ready for what's next. Thanks, Landis Block and Concrete. You guys are awesome. Jared Nice and his entire team up there in Souderton. It's not too early to start thinking about that 4th of July party or around the pool or whatever it is for your beautiful, jaw-dropping backyard paradise. We'll let you react to what Adam Schefter had to say. If you have any thoughts about what Adam had to say, and we'll react to it too coming back, it's the John Kincade Show here on 97.5, The Fanatic. I know BetParks app is the only one that I recommend to you. The official winning partner of the Philadelphia 76ers.
97.5, The Fanatic. Every storyline, every angle on the Eagles is here all week as they prepare for the NFL Wild Card. This is the John Kincade Show. 97.5, The Fanatic, and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Did it make you feel any better hearing from Adam Schefter? Did it give you any, Pat? Did it give you any more solace hearing from Adam?
I mean, in terms of the game, no.
No.
I mean, everything he said was accurate.
Yes.
But no, it doesn't make me feel like they're going to go out there and take care of it. I mean, he's as surprised as we are.
I think
how this thing hasn't gotten fixed.
I think it still sounds though like the Philadelphia fans are getting criticized. And so I call him. I said, "You're not criticizing the fans, right, on this? Because everybody who's watched these games and who lives and eats and breathes it for 4 months, Bob, has got to be saying, look, Adam, you don't understand what we're living with." Because it seems like it's like people look at it from the outside and go, I can't even believe that Nick Sirianni's job would be in question. This is crazy.
He made a good point, one that I made earlier today. Look, it's a quick-hitting society. Does that come into effect? All of those things. If you're an outsider looking in, you're just kind of probably more of a, wow, the Eagles hit a slump at a bad time. It's more than that. And I'm not saying Shefty doesn't see it. He said,
Sure.
I asked him, and he said he saw it. It's bad. It's really bad. Now, are we affected by losses of professional teams recently? Of the Sixers blowing it against the Celtics, of the Phillies blowing against Arizona, of the Eagles' demise in the Super Bowl, and now this season? Could that add to our, angst? Maybe, but it's real. I mean, it's real. These 6 games, they don't look like a professional football team. And it's gotten worse.
No, it has. It's gotten worse.
And if these players have given up on the coaches, well, then the obvious move is there. And the one thing that Shefty said that we could probably argue about is he said even if they lose on Monday, he doesn't think Sirianni's gone. He thinks he's back. I don't know. I don't know about that.
Here's what I always think, though, and it might be unfair, is he hearing something that he knows that to be the case?
Could be. We've had that happen before with Shefty where he told us something we like, he knew it.
He knew it all along. Then maybe he knows that Nick Sirianni, no matter what happens, he's going to survive this. And could that element be, and is this fair for me to say, could the element be why he would be safe, Pat, is because they know that they've got a guy that they can control. They have a head coach that they know that they have control over.
I think that is a big part of it. But no, I don't think Shefty knows anything necessarily in terms of this. I think he's going with his gut reaction. While he has known stuff before, he usually, I would say 9 times out of 10, he prefaces by saying, that's my opinion.
Yes, he does.
And I do believe that his opinion right now is look, he's coming back. But what I like about Shefty is he always goes, look, I expected Mike Vrabel to be back, and he's not. And when we had Schefter on before Doug Peterson got fired, he expected Doug P to be back. I mean, the NFL is a reactive league.
And you can't just assume, I guess, that,
you can't. Like, guys are fired, and there's a surprise firing every year, it seems like, in the NFL. Right now, it's Mike Vrabel. There's at least one that you're just surprised by. And I wouldn't be surprised if they moved on from Sirianni, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they kept him because of what Bob lays out. You can't forget about the first couple of years, and it's been a bad 6-7 weeks.
I know that it is we'll have Pat's takes coming up, which will sort of lighten the mood a little bit, right, Pat? Lighten it?
I mean, I'll try.
Okay. No angst in Pat's takes. Steve joins us. Steve, good morning. You're on The Fanatic. How are you, buddy?
Morning, guys. How are you guys doing?
Glad to have you aboard.
So, honestly, I think he goes if they lose on Monday. And the reason why I say that is not just because of this last month of football, but, I mean, he, like, just looking at this season overall, there were problems even when we were winning, when we got to 10-1, that obviously, like I said, you could have tweaked and modified, and they wouldn't be problems that really surfaced during the 49er game and thereafter. And I just look at it now, and every week it says the same thing, that we're going to fix it, and it doesn't get fixed. And each week you look worse than the week before. And it just doesn't – everybody looks lost. And I just don't know how – I understand that he's a Super Bowl. They took it to the Super Bowl. We were minutes away from beating the Chiefs and stuff like that. But this type of collapse, what's your message next season. Because the thing about it is, if I'm not trying to down them just because they've been losing these games, but it's just how they've been losing these games, and the fact that as a coach, you haven't taken upon yourself to listen. Even if we have to simplify it down to the basic thing and fix some fundamentals to where we can get back on track, it shows me that he doesn't have any ability to put this team back on track. And it's been a whole month of just losing, and it's just horrible. So it's just I just question if he is the guy that can maintain control when adversity comes, that you're just not going to fall apart and just guys pack it in, or you just not have any answers, and nobody has an answer for anything.
Steve, you said a couple of things there that I totally agree with. You used the word that I used yesterday, lost. I think this team is absolutely lost right now. Nothing to grab onto. And the way you're saying it, too, the losses have gotten worse. Right? The losses have gotten worse during this 6-game stretch. You've looked worse and worse. You can lose games in the NFL. We all know that. But they've looked worse as a whole team during this losing streak.
And I'm like, even if you bring in new coordinators, will it really be different? I mean, because then I'm like, it's okay, well, it's just the coordinators. And it's just his leadership ability overall. It's just I don't know about him.
Yeah.
I mean, if you bring him back, you bring him back. But it's just can you, well, there's so many other factors, and this one's controlling this, and he doesn't really have the control that he does. Well, I don't think anyone signed on to just have a coach here that they control but lose.
You are very even keel, Steve. I love your points, too. Good job, buddy. Yeah. Appreciate that.
Thanks,
man.
Steve.
Steve's very, you can hear the angst in Pat. I'm sort of finding myself a little bit more perturbed, a little bit more on the, I'm a little pissed off side. You, Bob, are always trying to find the seesaw of good, bad, fine, but you haven't even been able to find it this week. And then Steve comes in, he's just very even keel.
Yeah, it's that's the most damning thing is that you can go on losing streaks. You can lose games in the NFL. If we're being honest, they have gone downhill in these losses. It hasn't been you played a good game and you lost, or you have a 2-game losing streak. You played okay, you just can't find a way to win. I think that's where we are, against Seattle maybe, and you're 3 in a row, that's tough. But we're not at the butt anymore. No. They are the butt. And with 2 T's, they're not there. And Steve said it. They are lost. And when you're lost, it's really hard to find answers in 1 week.
I thought it was so funny that he went to the word lost after you went to it. Because it really is. It's something that's continued. The idea here, too, a lot of people checking in on, Brian. He believes that Brian Johnson's going to be a head coach in this league. That tells me he's heard it from people that are very much in the know. And I said, he is going to want to scrub social media then. He's going to want to scrub that Dan Orlovsky breakdown yesterday because I think it is a takedown of how bad this Eagles offense is. I think it is an absolute just takedown of epic proportions of saying, this is unacceptable. This isn't how the best teams do it. This isn't even how good teams with all these weapons do it.
Now, when you break down an offensive play and you criticize the design, and then you criticize the call, and then you criticize the execution, who's left out?
What's left?
No, seriously.
No, it's the truth.
And that's where it is. And that's what Orlovsky did. And that includes head coach. That includes coordinator. That includes players, especially the quarterback. That's why I say lost, because if you're looking at a play and it doesn't work, you say, see, the O-line miscommunicated there because they thought they were going to pick up the blitzer and they didn't, and boom, that's it. No, this goes from design, from calling, from execution. It's everything, and I just don't know how you can fix that in 1 week.
I'm not sure you can fix, the angst that Pat's feeling this week, but I know that he does tend to be able to put a smile on your face from time to time in Pat's takes.
With or without, either way, it's time for Pat's Takes.
Yeah, after some of the topics I've had today, I'll attempt to put a smile on your face.
I like
All
this.
right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, because those topics were gross. All right, now, do you want the good news or the bad news? That's always an interesting position to be put in.
I always want the bad news first.
Oh, I didn't ask you.
I always do.
Oh, I didn't ask you.
I thought you did.
No.
Who are we asking?
I was just saying that the
You said,
question,
do you want the good news or the bad news first?
Listen again, sir. Do you want the good news or the bad news is always an interesting position to be put in.
Oh.
But now that it's on the topic, what do you guys like? What do you guys prefer?
Bad.
I'll go bad.
You got
You too, Bob?
No,
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I want the bad news first.
See, I thought Bob was going to say good news first.
No, show me the F's on your test papers, and then
give me
finish
the
it up with the
extracurriculars.
A's. Yeah.
I'm right there with you.
Okay.
Do you want to be happy first, or bad, happy last, and forget about the pain? Do you want to find out that the Eagles lost 4 of their last 5 games first, or would you rather find out that the Eagles are playing a bad Bucs team first? Tough decisions. Well, whomever pro boxer Ryan Garcia asked the question, do you want the good news or the bad news, must have answered, give me the good news first, because Garcia took to Instagram to make 2 announcements. The first announcement was good news. Garcia and his wife welcomed a healthy baby boy into the world, couple's first son. A big moment for Garcia. But then came the bad news. An hour later, Garcia knocked out love by announcing that he and his wife, the same one who had just delivered a child, were splitting up.
Oh, my gosh.
He gave their relationship the full 10 count, but the marriage couldn't get up from the mat. Interesting timing for sure, but one that Garcia and his wife will never forget. That's a guarantee. Calling their parents to announce the birth, and then calling Joe Cordell, who wasn't licensed in their state, but that's okay. He has an attorney in their state who was, and he's going to help them out with this situation. But yeah, the announcement of, hey, by the way, we had a baby, and we're divorcing. Interesting timing.
Wow, that's really, and it's sort of classless.
You think so?
To do that, yeah.
I don't think so.
She just gave you a child.
Well, she knows what's going on. It's not like he was.
Yeah, but
I
why
don't
wait
think
that
it's
day?
it's
Don't
surprised.
wait. You can wait. You can wait. The world can wait on that news.
If you decide, I think he's in a tough situation, because if you decide to divorce and she is pregnant, there is no good time to announce it,
That
because
is
you're going to
probably
look like
true,
a scumbag.
yes.
And if you announce it a week before, it's like, dude, she's due any day now, and you're announcing a divorce. And then if she just gave birth, it's your wife just gave birth, and you're. So I think he's just in a tough position. You got to rip the Band-Aid off. But hey, that's not a problem that any of us have. All right, now football fans, they can be an emotional bunch. That's for sure. We know that. But it's understandable. You dedicate months, years, decades, lifetime even to one team and one goal. And for most fan bases, there are only a handful of years where you actually have a realistic expectation of winning it all. So when that team that you spent all offseason hyping up and waiting for, they poop, fans tend to get very mad at that. And they want to let the team know that the team did was just unacceptable. Now, we saw that in Philly this season. Fans were outside of NovaCare with signs that read "Run the Ball," and that was cute, and those guys got coffee. But, when things didn't improve, fans' messaging got more vitriolic. And I'm sure you guys remember the trash cans that said Slay and Bradbury. And most Eagles fans rolled their eyes at whomever put those trash cans outside of the practice facility. But for the fans that like to head to NovaCare with pitchforks, you need to up your game. And you need to look at an unlikely fan base, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
What have they done?
Because after the Jaguars failed to make the playoffs and build off of Doug Peterson's first year, one woman had enough, and she decided to send a message to the team. She wanted to bust through the front door and deliver it personally, and that's exactly what she did, intentionally driving her car into the front door of the Jags facility. And when she was asked what her message would have been had it not been for that door, she told reporters that they need to stop playing by the rules.
Oh, we've been strong. We're just playing by the rules. You can't have a newcomer come in and steal a show.
Yeah,
yes.
That's an oldie for all you viral video fans out there. The woman was arrested, shockingly, DUI. She also got aggravated assault for a police officer, and for good measure, they threw in some resisting arrest and criminal mischief. The good news is the front door is on the mend. When Trevor Lawrence showed up at the facility the next day, he decided he would pitch in.
Relax.
That cut was supposed to go longer, and it did not. But there was a whole thing from a funny movie called Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and we move on. But for all those Eagles fans who think that they're built different because they buy trash cans and make signs, you need to step your game up a little bit.
Wow. Driving through the front door.
Front door. Just the front door of it.
That's incredible.
Luckily, nobody was hurt. It was at night.
I can't believe that she got that close. Like, I mean,
something tells me there's probably not like the gate that you might assume
NovaCare,
in Jacksonville.
Yeah, there probably isn't.
All right, today in sports, 1945, no one was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. It can be done. They can actually do this.
So they're allowed to pass.
They can actually do this. Yeah,
Isn't
the
that
NFL
amazing?
should probably take notes on that.
Yeah, I didn't vote that year.
Why did you forget to send in your ballot?
I missed the deadline.
You were enlisted, right?
Yeah,
I
Great
just
War.
gotten back. Yeah.
The sequel, I'm sorry, to the Great War. 1982, Joe Montana hit Dwight Clark in the back of the end zone for the catch. San Fran would go on to win the Super Bowl that year. 1985, Lenny Wilkens became the first coach to coach 1,000 games in the NBA. 1989, Wayne Gretzky broke Gordie Howe's record to become the NHL's all-time leading scorer. And in 2003, Charlotte was awarded an NBA franchise. It would later be announced they would be named the Bobcats, rebranded to the Hornets. And that's all it takes.
Good job, Pat.
Good job, Pat. That was good. Not angsty. I like that. That was the other night we watched. I'm watching something about the Second World War, and these gentlemen that were interviewed, and they were talking about when they found out that they were going to be going to war. If you found out you were going to war, you were going to be put into the service. Which branch of the service would you have wanted to be in?
Space Force.
Pat, I don't think that they're going to take you for space. Like,
Is this still a thing, by the way?
You're out of high school.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, all right. Space
They're going to
Force.
take you out. They're going to take you out of high school. Now
Those aliens don't want none of this.
So Pat's going to go up against the aliens, but if it's
I'll take the aliens.
yeah, I mean, seriously.
Yeah, me too.
I'm thinking we're doomed, Pat.
Merchant Marine Academy.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna
all over it.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna take now. And they were talking about these gentlemen that jumped the gun and they made the choice for themselves, and then others that didn't have the choice made for the they were drafted and they got told what they were doing. What would you choose, Bob?
Probably Navy, only because when I was a kid, one of my sisters dated a guy that went in the Navy. I thought it was cool.
One of the gentlemen, and he was this really funny Asian man. He was so funny. And he just said he didn't want to be in the Navy because he said you're a sitting duck. He said for like bombing plane, he goes, can you imagine? He goes, you're on the deck and you're looking up and there's bombers coming at you. He said, you're a sitting duck. What do? Jump out in the ocean? And he was very funny talking about it, that he worried about all his friends that went in the Navy. But they said that the guys in the infantry had it far worse than anybody. They were the ones that really deserve it. So it's been a rough few weeks for Eagle fans, but it was much rougher back then. During the Second World War. Much, much, much worse. We've got so much coming your way today, and we appreciate you being a part of the show, and lots more as we get ready for Super Wild Card Weekend. Bob wants to know about confidence, and it doesn't seem like we've got a lot of it going on this morning, but confidence in individuals. We'll get to that next. It's the John Kincade Show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. I love Landis Block and Concrete, and I love the fact that they help to bring you Adam Schefter every single week here on the show. Look, you're already thinking about the snowstorms that are reportedly potentially going to come our way.
Beasley Media Group station. Home of 76ers basketball and Flyers hockey.
Plug in.
97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia. Now, a Birds playoff update on 97.5 Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
The Philadelphia Eagles now have to get ready for their first playoff game against the Bucks next Monday night. Team is stumbling into the playoffs. They've lost 4 of their last 5 games, but earlier today, ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter said grades aren't in yet. The Eagles, they have their finals now.
They haven't taken their finals yet, okay? They had A's and they've had F's, and now finals are coming. And we don't have a good feeling going into finals. We do not, but they still have to take the test.
Now, much of the ire for the Eagles has turned to offensive coordinator Brian Johnson and his predictable offense. While many fans would drive Johnson to the airport, Schefter says Brian Johnson's future is still very bright.
I still think like Brian Johnson is going to be a head coach one day. You know, maybe this has slowed down the process and the season hasn't gone the way it wanted, but that guy still is, I think, highly respected. That's what I believe to be the case.
That full interview is available now on 97.5thefanatic.com. The Eagles are no stranger to the Bucks. They faced them in Week 3, and they won 25-11. I'm Pat Egan on your home for continuing coverage of the Birds as they get ready for their wild card game against the Bucks. 97.5 The Fanatic.
The real and inside story on the Birds as they get ready for the NFL wild card. The John Kincade Show. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Did you guys witness the best defensive performance of the year? Bob, you said you were back and looking at that introductory game, the game in Tampa, which was the 3rd game of the year.
Yeah.
After the Minnesota game. So what did you learn? What'd you learn?
I didn't watch it. I looked back. I haven't watched it. I looked back at the stats and kind of reminded myself of it. It was just one of those games. Eagles got a safety on a really cool defensive play. I think it was Morrow who blew up a hole and took a running back down in the end zone. He had a nice touchdown pass to Oz, which was, I think it covered like 34 yards. Pat, you remember, me, you and Andrew were sitting together. It wasn't a microcosm of the season because I thought they played well, but it was you walked away saying, all right, they won the game, cool.
Yeah.
And they did some things well. Like they ran the ball well. DeAndre Swift averaged 8 yards a carry, went over 100 yards.
What are you saying? You weren't impressed?
Well, no, not
it
really.
Wasn't that. Yeah,
it
was.
I'll say it. I wasn't. They got stopped on a tush push. They had an unbelievable interception, I believe. Jalen Hurts threw an interception that you give a lot of credit.
He threw 2 that day.
Yeah, you give a lot of credit, the one to the defender. But, I came away not being impressed and going, all right, they'll fix it because they didn't do a preseason, and now it's 3 weeks, so that was their preseason, and they'll right this ship. But overall, no, I expected way more than 25-11. They won the game, and that's important, but the game was never really in doubt. No. For me, it was a lot of style points, and I don't remember coming out of that, for you guys at least, nobody was feeling great. It was like, all right, that was kind of sloppy at times, but it's a lot of stuff that they'll eventually clean up.
Best defensive performance of the year, though? I mean, 11 points.
I think at the time we were like Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I would put probably the Dolphins game.
I think the Dolphins was the most impressive.
Yeah,
I do too because of who they are.
Yeah. And you kind of kept that offense a little bit in check. I mean, keeping Tyreek Hill out of the end zone and under 100 yards is
on 8 catches.
Is a feat.
Yeah.
Did you watch the most recent Hard Knocks episode?
No.
Okay, I did. And Pat, I would just tell you, when you watch the episode, your boy McDaniel, I actually liked him a little bit more.
Oh, I love
in this
McDaniel.
In this episode, it actually was like I saw a little bit more of what you see.
I think me and him would just get along. We have the same sense of humor.
People would
he's
think
dry, I'm dry.
People would think you're related too.
That's fine. You know,
they think like, oh, he brings his brother to work.
Yeah, his little brother. Bring your little brother to work there.
Well, you're not that much shorter than him.
He's not a huge guy.
He's a small guy. So, hey, Ricky joins us. Ricky, good morning. You're on the Fanatic.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning.
Hi, Ricky.
I'm gonna disagree with Adam Schefter, and this is why. If he doesn't win against Tampa, he's already on the verge of losing the locker room. If he loses against Tampa, he lost the locker room. How do you bring somebody back, which the nucleus of this team, which is the offensive core we have, how are they going to trust him next year.
Ricky,
because in the back of their mind, they're going to say, like, we're going to go through this again.
Ricky, let me ask you something, though. Is that it's something, and Bob is best suited to answer this question. When I hear that from fans, I always roll my eyes. I was in the locker room a couple weeks ago, but I'm not in the locker room frequently. How do fans who are like call sports radio, know that he's lost the locker room?
You can just tell by their demeanor on the field. You can just look at their eyes. The eyes, being in previous career, you can tell how people feel just by looking at their eyes. And when you're seeing them on the TV and you see their eyes, you can tell that the frustration has set in. You can tell that the trust is not there. And you're going to bring this guy back if we lose against Tampa. I'll tell you right now, the sexiest pick for me will go get Jim Harbaugh. He did it in college. He did it in the pros. He would be a sexy pick for us, and he will bring a title to Philadelphia because that man knows how to coach, both in the pros and in college.
Yeah, saying somebody lost the locker room is real tricky because that's the most damning thing you can say against a coach. Ricky, I hear some of the hints. You're absolutely right. Some of the hints are the way they play. How hard are they playing? Marcus Spears went on ESPN and said the players weren't even playing on Sunday, didn't bring themselves. Yeah, that's damning evidence. It sure is.
And our fan base, we're very passionate. We're probably the most passionate group of fans in all of sports. And for you as a head coach to allow this to happen, let alone to the Eagles, but to our fan base, I can't trust him, and I don't think anybody should.
I'm not critiquing that, and Ricky, I appreciate you. I'm not critiquing your opinion on that, but I always roll my eyes at that because now I didn't get to be in the locker room much this year because of what's happened. But I always think it's funny is that people will be like, "Yeah, he's lost the locker room." You have no idea if you're not in the locker room, and the Jeff McClains. The not Adam Schefter's, the Jeff McClains and the Zach Bermans and guys like Andrew DeCecco and Jeff Kerr who were in there all the time. They could have a better idea of telling us whether he's lost the locker room. I've heard that from nobody, though. That anybody that I trust that Coach Sirianni, has lost the locker room. I have not heard that. Now, some coordinators may have, but I've not heard that at all about Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, it takes a player to say something, and whether it's in confidence or off the record, on the record, you'll ask the question because it's, as I said, while it's the most damning thing, you'll ask the question because it would be the biggest story of the season. Has the coach lost the locker room? Sometimes I remember one time asking somebody, and I just got a look, like.
Was he not answering, or okay? What do you think?
What do you think? Yeah. But yeah, it is damning. It's getting to that point where you're wondering, and if there's just one word about it, one sentence said about it by a player, you could have your answer.
I've read that in some of the blogs, some of the fan blogs and everything like that, and I'm like, how do you know? How do you know sitting watching on your TV as a fan? Just as a fan, you're not there. You're not in the locker room. How do you think you know that he's lost it? Because I think he goes, well, you can see the player's frustration. The player's frustration could be with an assistant coach, could be with their teammates.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean that it's with Nick Sirianni. I could understand where you'd think that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that.
Well, if they're upset with the coordinator, whose responsibility is that? It kind of falls under the umbrella of Nick Sirianni. So when those things start to happen and get the way they seem to be getting with the Eagles, it's a fair question. And it's fair to notice things and wonder.
Oh, yeah, it's fair to notice, and to make that. But saying that he's lost it just surprises me a little bit. 9 o'clock hour is brought to you by the Bagster. It's a dumpster in a bag. You can get yours today at Home Depot and Lowe's, and for details, go to Bagster.com. Leonard joins us on The Fanatic. Leonard, my man.
Hey, guys, good morning. So I'm trying to really understand the logic behind if you have the biggest collapse in NFL history and you have NFL analysts going over our plays on national television, calling our offense high school, how is that not grounds for firing? I don't get it.
I sort of agree with you. That's where when Adam's talking about Brian Johnson's head coaching, future, he better hope that Dan Orlovsky's breakdown is just removed from the web, scrubbed.
It wasn't just him, Emmanuel.
Emmanuel Acho.
Acho. He's doing. I mean, this is, and then the last game of the season, he has no answers. For me, guys, this I've seen enough. It's grounds. I don't know how it's not.
Yeah.
It could be. It very well could be. And eye test is going to be important Monday night. If they go out there and just win because they're more talented than Tampa Bay, which could happen, and many would say it should happen, but you just don't see execution. You don't see guys in the proper place. I don't know. All these things I keep saying, in the back of my mind, I'm wondering if he's coaching for his life on Monday night.
So, Bob, you put a challenge to us about confidence. And if we do think that, because I think Pat and I both believe they're winning on Monday night, but you have a question about our confidence.
Well, yeah. I mean, where is it right now? I'm trying. I'm struggling. I'm really wondering what's going to happen Monday. Who is a player that you have your confidence in right now? Because if they win this game on Monday night, somebody's going to have to play well. Somebody's going to have to do something. The obvious answer is the quarterback. And, okay, I'll even leave him in the equation. Are you confident right now with the play calling, with the way he's playing, with the way the offense is being set up? Is it him? Who is the guy on this team that you're confident in that you can come out of Monday's game saying, you know what? He was the big part and maybe the reason this team won.
DeAndre Swift. I'm confident in DeAndre Swift, and I think he's been underutilized, and he is a guy that if they go back, they can see where he had some success versus Tampa Bay. And I saw that Carolina had some success running the ball against Tampa Bay last week, so I would go. That's where I'd lean.
How about you, Pat? Any one player that you have confidence in saying, you know what? If they win this game, I'll bet it's because of him.
A.J. Brown. He's such a difference maker. Now, lately, it's been fumbles that have been it's been weird. But and by the way, we're taking out Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, we're taking out Hurts.
Right? No, I'm not because of the
Hurts.
play calling and all that. Because he hasn't been good lately either.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts.
Okay, but you're confident in him.
Oh, I'm not confident. No.
Well, that was the question.
Well, I didn't know because normally with these questions,
I know
we take out Jalen Hurts. So
I said to leave him in on this one. Yeah,
A.J. Brown, but I've been waiting for the A.J. Brown. Reverting back to the A.J. Brown earlier in the season for 5 weeks now, and it hasn't happened. So, confidence is tough. I mean,
it is.
I'm sorry, John might have taken the biggest one that you look at as like that's the guy that I'm confident in because the defense you're not confident in anybody. The biggest reason, I mean, I'll stick with A.J. Brown because I don't want to say DeAndre Swift, but A.J. Brown, I guess.
Well, A.J.
Actually, no.
Okay.
Dallas Goedert.
Well, I'll tell you this is
because he's been consistent. During this stretch, so I'll go Dallas Goedert.
All right.
I like the idea of Dallas Goedert would put a smile on my if our two guys, Pat, DeAndre Swift and Dallas Goedert, there's no way they lose the game, and that includes with their lousy defense.
Yeah.
Because that tells me because I'm always expecting that, if Devontae Smith is playing and if AJ Brown's playing that they're going to get theirs. So if you're telling me that they get the tight end and the running game involved heavily, yeah, I'm feeling really good about it.
Well, they're heavily involved tight end. It would be what, 4 catches, 5 catches?
Oh yeah, that'd be fine. Yeah, but but that could be 40 yards, 45 yards, 50 yards at a critical time, because this team sometimes isn't able to stay on the field.
And I think you're going to have to go a heavy dosage of DeAndre Swift if you're being smart. Which is another question that we have about this team. If you're being smart and you have to keep that defense off the field. Now, Slay's going to be back, and whether you like his play this year or not, that's going to help you because it's a familiarity thing. And you're not subbing in rookies all that much. He's going to be back. Is your defense going to be better? It should be because of the Tampa Bay offense. But I think you just have to go heavy dosage of DeAndre Swift simply. A, it might be your best offensive option right now and most simplistic. And B, it'll help keep that defense off the field.
Johnny joins us. Johnny, good morning. You're on The Fanatic.
Hey, good morning. I just want to talk about Coach Sirianni, and I don't really feel like he should come back. regardless if they win or lose. Mainly because I feel like he's a front runner coach. I like him. But if you guys remember what that one year where we kept saying run the ball early on, I think they lost like 5 in a row. He refused to run, and it wasn't until he gave up the play calling, which we turned out it wasn't his idea, that they actually turned it around. Now they're losing again, and he can't fix it. He doesn't have Shane Steichen or the defensive coordinator from before to tell him what to do. And I feel like that he is a wonderful leader of men, but he doesn't do anything else. And he can't help them when they're in a bad spot. All those speeches go out the window. Watering the flowers or fertilizer, it means nothing losing it. He doesn't show the ability to pull them out those ruts. So in my opinion, I don't think that he's the man for us. I would like to see Harbaugh, maybe even Vrabel come in. I just feel like we need something different because right now they're playing lifeless. They don't have a clue. It's just bad football.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It is bad football. Johnny's right on that. It is bad football.
It's really bad football.
I see people making predictions now, like our YouTubers who we love, or just, some are putting out predictions. 37-24 Eagles or something, a high-scoring game like that. Does that excite you?
No, but
because it kind of did. I have to admit, if the Eagles put up 30-plus points, I think that would excite me more than if the defense held Tampa Bay to 11 again. Or, under 2 touchdowns.
I would be more excited if I saw the offense look like a Lamborghini. If I saw them go out there and just really turn it on and show out. That would make me feel better.
Yeah.
That'd be the one. Because defensively, I'd be saying, yeah, but next week you're playing Brock Purdy or Dak Prescott or whatever, so I can't really take much away about what you're doing. As far as that's concerned.
Yeah, I can't remember this team going out there offensively and having me say, oh, there it is. I mean, the last time might have been the overtime against Buffalo. And how long ago was that?
Mike Vrabel, by the way, now 6 years as a head coach. I'm shocked at that. I didn't think of him as a 6-year guy in Tennessee. He went to the playoffs 3 times. He got to 1 AFC championship game. His record in the playoffs was 2-3. He only won 2 playoff games in the 1 year. His overall record 54-45. Now, I can't say that they were loaded up or anything, and he was doing it with Ryan Tannehill and some other things. He did have one number 1 seed in there, but I think that Vrabel, people talking the name more than I mean, I like it. If it was between a Harbaugh or a Vrabel, I wouldn't even blink that it would be Harbaugh. To me.
Look, there's coaching's weird because how do you exactly discuss a coach or like a coach? Obviously, it's their success. But look, we're looking at one of the greatest coaches of all time labeled in Bill Belichick, and of course the question next to him is, yeah, but he's no good without Tom Brady. Okay, but Tom Brady was like a 6th-round draft pick, and he helped make Tom Brady what he was.
He did.
With a guy like Vrabel, all right, 6 seasons with one team. That's the talent that he had there, and if he goes to another team and proves that he's not very good, you're gonna say, he's just a 500 coach. It's so hard to judge coaching. Like if Vrabel came in here with this talent, would he be a much better coach than he was in Tennessee? Maybe.
They'd be a more physical team. They'd be a more physical team. Yes. They would be a team that wouldn't be afraid to lead with the run, which is something that they're good at to set up the pass.
Yeah, they had a hell of a running back there for a lot of his time.
He believes in it, though. That's like something he believes in, and I don't know what Nick Sirianni believes in.
Or did the talent make him believe in that? Like, you'd have to be an idiot not to say, I'm going to give Derrick Henry the ball 25 times a game because he's the best running back in the league for many of my years as a coach. I find it interesting. I think it's one of the hardest thing to do. We understand scheme and we see different things, but at the professional level, a guy that's with one team and has pretty much the same talent and say a career like Vrabel, people are going to say, yeah, but on him, or people are going to say he's really good. So it's really hard to judge.
Yeah, and also when you factor in, I think for me at least, I look at Mike Vrabel as a guy that got a lot out of a not that talented team.
He got 3 playoff bursts with Tannehill.
Yeah, with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback, and he inherited Mariota, and he moved on from Tannehill, and He also dealt with cap issues and a GM that put them in cap hell, which forced them to trade in A.J. Brown. I'd be interested to see what his philosophy would be if he were to come to Philly. And it's crazy that we're even having this discussion. But also, he's a defensive-minded coach, so it'd also be important to see who he hired. Would he bring an Arthur Smith back in? No.
Well, no. I hope not.
I'm with you. I didn't like what he did in Atlanta, but it'd be interesting to see who he brought in as his. And it's going to be interesting wherever he goes to see who he brings in as his OC. Because as a defensive-minded coach, it's going to be important to see who's the OC here.
Don't even Arthur Smith. If Vrabel wanted to bring in Arthur Smith, I am out. I am absolutely out. Because one thing I can tell you from peers of mine who had to cover him for 3 years said they thought when they had lived through Kyle Shanahan, he said so arrogant about why are you questioning me? Why are you questioning me? I'm the one with the background here. I'm the one very condescending. And they said even more than Kyle Shanahan. And Kyle Shanahan had tons of success. Arthur Smith had none. And they were like, yeah, he was going to question. He didn't like being questioned.
Yeah, I mean, we see it here. A lot of people
that wouldn't work here.
A lot of people say that Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman want to hire yes men, and you have to wonder. They brought in guys that had never coached in the NFL before. Is that their fit? Other places maybe want guys that are fully in charge. Hire a Jim Harbaugh and say take over everything. That's why the coaching philosophy and who you go with and how it's really a crapshoot.
Hey, Mark joins us. Mark, good morning. You're on the Fanatic.
Good morning, gentlemen. What are we talking about here? I mean, we're talking about one of the most successful Eagles coaches, in a short period of time, and we're already talking about sending him on his way. I think anybody's free game. Now I'll preface it by this way. Is let's see what happens on Monday. Now, if they get beat down bad and the offense is anemic and they're not performing, we already know the defense is Swiss cheese. So, having that mindset, I think he has to come back. You got to give him another year to see if he can rebound. And if that locker room is lost, going into next season, then that's when you have that conversation.
Mark, what do you think he does well? If I brought you into the planning meeting for 2024, what is it that you think he does well?
I do think he does manage his players well. I think he's a player's coach. I think the players do respect him, and I think that is what he does well. He holds that respect from the players. I mean, look, he fell on the sword for A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, ad-libbing a play in Seattle. But I also hope he reprimanded them as well in the locker room behind the doors for saying, what are you guys doing? Run the play that's called, and if there's any discussion, in between plays or, when the defense is on the field about what we can do, let's do that. So I'm hoping that there's some kind of respect and boundaries there, that he does draw that line. I think he does that well. And, in trusting his players as well. So I think that respect that he holds in that locker room means more than anything. But outside of that, the coaches on the defensive side and the offensive side have to do their jobs. And, with Patricia, with the defense, they're limited what they could do just based off of personnel. And, I think there's got to be some real look in the mirror of what they're going to do for the draft next year. But I give Nick at least, the rest of this season, obviously, with the postseason, and see what happens next year. I think it's crazy that we're talking about, Vrabel and Harbaugh. Didn't he just sign a contract extension in Michigan anyway?
Yeah, but he can leave. He can leave for the pros. He's allowed to leave. He can walk out the door anytime he wants.
Yeah, he said something that I kind of said earlier in the show. Yeah, I'm leaning towards he deserves another year. But then if they come out and play a horrible game again on Monday, man, you're talking about a team that slid in the last 7 games of the season, the likes of which has never been seen before. So I don't know.
But I think fans are torn on this. I think, and deservedly so, because Nick has had a lot of success. Coach Sirianni has been successful. Friday morning, you want to be listening. Tomorrow morning, we'll tell you how you have a chance to win it. But Friday morning, you could be jetting away this weekend with Philly Sports Trips to go on down to Tampa for a 2-night, for a trip for 2 to the Monday night game in Tampa. It includes airfare, hotel, and a VIP tailgate party featuring Hollis Thomas's 50th birthday. Hollis, you're looking good, man. If you're already going to the game and you want to get yourself down there, go to phillysportstrips.com, reserve your spot either in the tailgate-only package, which features Hollis Thomas and his 50th birthday celebration, or you can add on hotel and game tickets. You are not required to bring Hollis a gift, but if you wanted to, you could bring him one. Hey, we'll find out. We're giving away a trip on Friday morning. Somebody will be jetting away on the King weekend where Monday most people have off. A lot of the federal offices and everything, so you have a chance to win.
I'm so mad at the NFL for that.
Because it should have been a Sunday.
It would have been so much better, man, and just have off, right? For a lot of people, we would have been in. But, it makes Vince at Philly Sports, it makes his life easier. And then Roger Goodell has to come in and ruin that.
Pat asks, what if Andrew DiCecco is right? Wait a minute. You're questioning if Andrew DiCecco is right? Let Pat explain. John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, at FanDuel Casino, we know
On Kincade Show, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
We love it when Andrew DeCecco joins us from inside the Birds and gives us his breakdown and analysis of what's going on and his observations from the locker room and more. But, Pat, something that Andrew DeCecco said to us the other day has left you sort of maybe in fear or at least questioning about what would be the best for the franchise? Do you want me to present it to you? Or?
No. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I didn't realize someone's in the room.
Yeah, I got Brandon Gunn here, and we were discussing some technical stuff. But I heard Andrew Checa, so I know what the topic is. He brought up on our Friday show something horrifying, and I got really, really angry with him. And I had to tell him afterwards, like, dude, I'm not mad at you. I'm just mad at the message that you said that Brian Johnson could possibly be back next season. That makes me need a rage room if this dude's back. And I don't care that Shefty's saying he'll be a head coach one day and this might be just a road bump. I can't have that dude back. I can't. And you talked about Arthur Smith with the arrogance. I think there's been a lot of arrogance with Brian Johnson.
I would agree with you 100%.
The fact that after every single game, this dude gets asked by the media about his horrid play calling. And I'm sorry, but let me just take the excuse of, well, Nick Sirianni, it's his playbook, and Nick Sirianni steps in every once in a while, and it's actually the offense. Let me just take that and punt it because I'm sick of it. And the fact that after every game, we got to hear him defend 3rd and 15 bubble screens and act like, oh, no, actually, that's a really good play. That's really good, but you guys just don't get it. That's a really good play.
And it's worked before.
Oh, I mean, the defender, he actually made a really good play on the ball. Yeah, doing the same play back-to-back, just flipping the field and doing it on the other side, genius stuff. I can't have if that is honestly, if it is a Nick Sirianni thing, they both need to go. But if it's a Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni thing, whoever is in charge of this offense, basically, if you have your hands on it, you need to go.
Especially when you say, well, when it's Nick Sirianni, he says it's his offense.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like
so he claims responsibility.
Okay, guess what? It's Tweedledee and Tweedledum, and they both need to go. So if this dude's back. And I'm assuming if he is back, it's because of the relationship with Jalen Hurts and nothing more than that.
I would agree with you there.
Yeah, I'm gonna be quite annoyed.
Yeah, the one answer that kind of had me scratching my head, and Pat, I think we talked about it on pregame, if I'm not mistaken, last week or earlier this week, was when he said that Budda Baker from Arizona made a phenomenal play on the second time in a row. In the same formation that they ran the exact same play, and Budda Baker came up and stopped a quarterback run. And I was like, dude, you ran the same exact play 2 times in a row. Are you saying the guy made such a great play, or were you too idiotic not to disguise it a little bit? So that kind of got to me. But I said last week that I could see them giving Brian Johnson, like saying, okay, he's got to grow another year with it. There were some good things. We know numbers and all of that stuff. You had 2,000-yard receivers. You had a 1,000-yard rusher, a quarterback, blah, 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 blah. So I could understand if maybe they were thinking of it. But after the last couple of weeks, I don't think so.
By the way, 1,000 yards rushing. Can we just bring that up? And by the way,
it's like 60 yards a game or 57 yards a game.
Yeah, it's not that impressive anymore.
No. I'm thrilled with DeAndre Swift getting it, but it's 59 yards a game. Stop. Stop bragging. Like him, it's Pat. I always think a coach is in trouble when they start quoting their resume at press conferences.
Yeah.
And Doug Peterson did that big time. To me, it's the Brian Johnson. We got 1,000-yard rusher, 1,000-yard receivers, 1,000.
That's what I mean. Like he keeps defending the offense. And, the offense. I mean, points per game. Blah blah blah. Brian, you were here last year. Does it look the same? Does it look remotely the same to last year? Does it look remotely as crisp?
No.
The answer is no. You were here. You know what worked last season. Nick Sirianni, you were here. You know what worked last season. And you guys stepped into the role, whichever. I don't know. Both of you, none of you, I don't know. But you stepped into the role, and you thought that your way was better. You thought that you knew better, and no, this will work. My philosophy will work. Well, guess what? Then you both need to go. Because this crap that I hear every week, it's like it's the beat writers will preface it by saying, oh, well, it's Nick Sirianni's offense. So, he steps in and blah, blah. You preface it by saying it, fine. Guess what? Then they both can kick rocks. Because this offense, you have taken a Ferrari and you've put crappy tires on it. You've put horrible windshield wipers on it. You put a thing that only allows it to go 65 miles an hour.
A governor?
What do they call it? The governor. Yeah, they put the governor on it. Like, they just, I mean, they took everything off this thing. Yeah, it's a Ferrari still, but it's not acting like it. So, no, if it's both of them, then they both need to go. Congrats, you played yourself.
By the way, is 59 yards a game really good for A.J. Brown?
No,
like,
it's
that's
not so
he
much.
goes way over that. But, I mean, like, bragging about 1,000 yards is nothing anymore.
No, it's just a mark, that you try to reach. It speaks more of, I think, consistency. To get there, you've had to have played 15 of the 17. And if you've played all 17, it's the number that you proposed. If you play 13, 14, and you get over 1,000, you're still getting like 70 yards a game, 75 yards a game. It's just a consistency thing, I think. No, that number just thrown out there isn't anything to brag about, 59 yards a game.
Rob has an idea on Nick Sirianni and his future. Rob, good morning. You're on The Fanatic.
Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Glad to have you on, Rob.
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hey, so I'm just trying to clarify some things. If I'm correct, I listen to you a lot, and I swear you were like leading the hype train of him being over 700 winning percentage just about 2 months ago, and now you got the pitchforks out for the guy. I'm a little confused.
Well, I'm on the fence. I got to tell you, I'm still on the fence, but Monday could absolutely sway me. And I already said earlier today, I would be reluctant to see him leave.
Okay. All right.
But I'm not pleased. But I'm not pleased at all, Rob. What does he do well? Tell me.
Well, evidently he was doing something well. I don't know what it was, but he was doing something well when the team was winning.
Or were his coordinators, who are now in Arizona and Indianapolis, doing well?
Well, I mean, and we are the same people who thought Rich Gannon was a dumpster fire. So can we really say that?
I didn't, so I can't answer to those people.
There's a lot of Philadelphia fans that did.
They did. Yeah, you're right. And I think they looked a little dumb now, have we seen what's afterwards.
Well, I think part of the problem is we hyped ourselves up a little bit too much. Who was the secondary that we were dependent on? Reed Blankenship and who else? I mean, seriously, who else was the other guy? We didn't even know coming into the season.
They doubled down on Slay. They doubled down on signing Slay and Bradbury in their 30s.
Oh, I hated that move. I hated it.
Well, you and I both. You and I both.
So I think we overhyped the team. So when we're seeing this fall, which you see from most losing teams, and when you see it, I think we're really mad at ourselves for actually believing these guys were a little bit better.
But Rob, the last team that went to a Super Bowl and lost, that got back in the next year, they won it.
Okay.
I mean, I hear that about you can't lose a Super Bowl and get back. Last team that did that was the New England Patriots, and they won it.
Well, how long ago was that? How many
6 years ago. 5 years ago.
Okay.
5 years ago. That's not 5 years ago. Is it long?
Didn't the Rams just lose not too long ago, and they were a dumpster fire afterwards?
Yeah, but the Rams didn't. The Rams went. They did. They won it, but they won a Super Bowl. They won it. I mean, there's a difference between that.
Yeah,
winning the game.
It's how quick it all goes. You know, it's they're at 10-1, and the question comes up on the show: is he the greatest coach in Eagles history, or could he be on his way to that? And then 7 weeks later, we're talking about firing him. You know, that's the ins and outs of sports, and that's the way it is. And in a reactionary town like this,
is it fair?
That's where we are. In this case, it may be more fair than what's on the surface. Like I just laid it out. 7 weeks ago, one of our subjects was, could he become the all-time greatest Eagles coach in history? And now we're arguing about whether he should keep his job or not over one more game, I should say. So that way, no, that's not fair. Is it fair in that how far this team has dropped? That makes it a little more fair.
The Nick Sirianni conversation, though, Bob, plays to something in Pat that Bob always preaches to us. He hates talking about too far in the future because, as you're right, November the 15th, November 22nd, we wouldn't have ever considered that we would be having this conversation on January the 10th. And we were talking about the all-time pantheon of the not a great coaching history in this franchise, But, like, could he end up being better than Doug Peterson, better than Andy Reid, as far as how he's preserved? And you always cringe at those topics.
Yeah.
Because, and this is a perfect example maybe of why.
Yeah, it's just sports is like that, and especially the NFL. You know, it's such a week-to-week, you know, when we would do the rankings. And I remember you and I kind of went at it last year, I think, at one point. You said, who's the best team in the NFL? And I said, the Eagles right now. And you were like, no, not right now. They're the best team. And I'm like, yeah, right now. And you and I were going back and forth on it, and I thought it was fun.
And
like, we were having
but
fun
the thing
with
is,
it.
though, this year shows me that maybe what you were saying was pretty right.
Yeah, I mean, at that time, and right now, I think the best team in the NFL is the Baltimore Ravens. And 2 weeks ago, I thought right then, before they lost to the Ravens, I thought the San Francisco 49ers were. I don't know if right now, at 10-1, we were saying the Eagles were the best team in football. We said that their record probably said they had to be called it, but I don't think that it was, overwhelmingly on our minds that they're the best team in football. So
they were 7-1, 8-1, 9-1, and I was getting emails every single week. People going, "Oh my gosh, you're being so negative on them. They're 9-1. What are you complaining about?" Because I think you see it. You see that it's not. You see that it's not a good thing. It's not good. It's not good.
Right now, it's a bad product.
It's a bad
horrible.
And we do. You want to do the right now? If I was ranking the teams in the playoffs right now, I think the Eagles would be tied for 14th with probably the team they're playing on Monday night. And that's just being honest. I'm not, the way they're playing right now, I don't know they could beat any of these playoff teams.
And the Steelers won 3 games down the stretch to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, they won in Seattle, which is, as we saw, that's a tough thing to do.
Mason Rudolph won in Seattle.
And they're with their third-string quarterback, right. So they're right there. They're right there with the Eagles in Tampa Bay, probably. But we're talking about the least, I don't know. I'll say it. The worst teams in the playoffs right now, I do think the 2 of them are playing on Monday night.
All right, sometimes you're smart, Bob. I'll just admit it. Sometimes you're smart. The acceptance with the Hawks. You want to talk with the Sixers and the Hawks tonight. It'll be Sixers-Hawks. You'll hear it right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. And you're talking about, I guess it's there's been a lot of discussion about how we consume this 76ers season.
Yeah, here's how I put it out there. Acceptance for things isn't easy, especially when you disagree with having to accept it. I don't mind. Yeah, I'll accept the Sixers are going to win 50 wins. That are going to get 50 wins pretty much every season as long as Joel Embiid's in a Sixers uniform. All right, that's a good thing. Whether it, translates to the playoffs or not, that's a different discussion. Can you accept, and we talked a little bit about it earlier, can you accept this knee, ankle, face, fingers, toes, feet, that he's going to be a 65-game regular season guy at best?
It aggravates me. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying he's a malingerer. I'm not saying that he's lazy.
No, none of us is saying that.
But it bothers me.
Yeah.
Because it seems like every single year I got to hear the yeah but of, well, we would have beaten if he had been healthy, if he hadn't been banged up. We would have beaten the Hawks if. I'm tired of the ifs.
Because the spectrum of conversations I had yesterday, one went, yeah, but that's what happens. It's Embiid. Like, you can't worry about it. He'll play 65 games. Worry about those games he plays in. Don't worry about the ones he doesn't. The other conversation I had was, I can't put up with this anymore. I can't put up with a turned ankle turns into 4 games. I can't, accept that, like, he goes knee to knee in the Knicks game against somebody, which we all do all the time, and it's painful and it hurts for a little while, and there's going to be soreness there. But that's going to cause him to miss 2 games, and one being, 5 days later? So that's why I put the question out there. Can you accept Joel Embiid's fragility if it evens out to 65 games, pretty much a year?
Where do you fall, Pat? I don't know that I'm how about I'll survive one more spring with it, and then you ask me that question.
If ultimately it gets him to the playoffs healthy, that's all I care about. I should say, okay, let me clarify that. If it means that he can get to the second round of the playoffs healthy, that's all I care about, because I've seen him get to the playoffs healthy and then he gets injured in the first round. So I don't care if they wrap him in bubble wrap for the entire regular season. If the second round rolls around and they roll him out there, but At this point, yeah, I expect this. Like what I'm getting, I expect to see him miss games with various injuries, and most of them are going to be lower body because he's that big, and big men aren't supposed to move the way he does, and it's quite taxing. So I expect this. I'm not surprised at all that, a banged knee turns into 2, 3, 4 games. An ankle turns into 2, 3, 4 games. It's just what I expect.
All right, expect and accept are two different words.
I don't
know.
I have to.
Okay.
I don't have a choice.
All right, that's cool. Pat went the other way.
I like how Pat, you almost swayed me over to your almost because the idea of he doesn't have any other choice. It's like we are held hostage by every little thing that happens to Joel Embiid. And breaking your face is not a little thing.
Yeah, it's not.
Going knee to knee with somebody happens routinely in the NBA all the time.
I mean, there are very few players. He might be the only big man in basketball that is asked to do what he is doing. That
can do what he does.
What do you mean by that?
He's asked to be the focal point of your offense, but also be a defensive force. Now, everyone knows Jokic doesn't play defense. He doesn't care about defense.
No, he certainly doesn't.
And he's just his assists are dribble handoffs. Like, he has incredible court vision. I don't want to take that away from him, but like a lot of his assists come from dribble handoffs. Like, he is a focal point of their offense. He's a huge focal point of their offense, but defensively, they take the good being his offense with the bad being he doesn't play defense. Joel Embiid has to play a two-way game. He has to run up and down the court. He routinely is blocking a ton of shots. He's having to jump all the time. Like, he's just asked to do way more than a lot of guys. And when you're asked to do that at the size of Joel Embiid, it's going to be taxing on your body. You're not going to get a lot of rest. So I think they look to possibly even get him some rest in these situations. I wonder if Joel Embiid would play tonight if it wasn't for these new NBA rules about sitting. Because with Joel Embiid having a banged up knee, it gives them a built-in excuse to get him some rest that normally it would have just been a load management game. But now it's like, yeah, okay, he's probably at 80%. But you know what? Let's get him some more time here. Because if we would do that later on in the season, we're getting hit with a fine.
That's a good observation by you.
That really is good, Pat.
And I'm not that I'm saying they're doing that, but
it'd be smart too.
Yeah, it would be smart too, right? Like a normal injury that you'd be back in 2 games, and maybe it takes him 4 now.
Are you believing that maybe they are willing to just say, take a few extra days because we're worried about spraying more than we're worried about?
Oh, absolutely.
But
I think they're playing a long game.
The only thing is, though, a bruised knee and stuff like that, knee swelling from a bruised knee or whatever, is that going to really carry over to May or April, late April?
No, but you know what happens. Like, say me and you, if our knee's bothering us, what do? You walk differently. So then when you walk or run differently, does it affect some other part of your body? Does it affect your game in some way in that you're not getting lift on your jump shot, therefore you're that much more, ineffective?
Right, exactly.
There's different things there. We've seen it. Like, we come in with sorenesses all the time. Not
I
from
came
playing,
in today.
Yeah, not from playing anything physical, just from being old. And, it can bother you for a few days or whatever. Pat gets, his lumps and bruises playing hockey, and it'll stick with you for a little while.
That's a non-contact league.
Yeah, right?
Wait. There's still contact.
But come on.
It's incidental contact for the most part.
Yes, I mean, we're bumping and grinding out there, boys. But
what?
You heard me right.
After what I said earlier about NFL head
games,
coaches.
10-30 games? Yeah, oh, yeah.
You're bumping and grinding. What do you think? People sometimes show up a little salty?
# men's league hockey after dark, boys.
So what number are you in hockey?
11 on some teams.
Any reason?
No.
Okay.
Not Carson Wentz?
No, it wasn't Carson Wentz.
It wasn't?
Don Selesky.
That's not bad.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
What's it? Yeah, it's the 11.
I got to get out to one of Pat's games. As soon as the attendance goes down a little bit, Pat,
Pat,
I swear to God, I'm going to make the ride out
now.
there.
Pat, I think 5. I think you'd like, to me, I'd see you as like a 3.
Pat?
What do you mean a 3?
Yeah, like a
number 3?
Yeah, like a 3.
I see him as like a 98.
The double digits?
No, yeah.
I'm at the skill level.
The thing is, though, the double digits, the 9 and the 8 would go under his arms.
That's all right.
I'm so bad that I'm just happy that they gave me a jersey. So I don't really care about the number too much. And I was also happy it wasn't 7/8. Good old Eddie Goodell.
Now, I've spoken to two different people who play with Pat. And one of my former players, Jason Fallon, has also told me he's gone up against Pat. And every one of them seems to be complimentary. Pat derogatorily tears himself down. I don't know if that's a word. You tear yourself down, and I've heard nothing but some positive reports, Pat.
Yeah, well, they just called me on a good night.
Scrappy. No, but like scrappy, glad to be there.
Yeah, I'm absolutely glad to be on an email chain.
All right, so this is cool. So the YouTube people now, they want to get together and do a road trip to Pat's game.
Oh,
so
I think
we'll include a tailgate.
Wait, can Vince and Philly Sports Trip set this up?
I'm thinking we should.
Wait a
We
minute.
get there early. We tailgate. Hopefully we get one of your 8 o'clock games and not one of your 11:45.
Yeah, can we get one of them?
But Mopar, I'm putting you in charge, man.
Yeah,
Let's
this'll
do
work.
it.
This'll
Me
work.
and the YouTube crowd and John going over to Pat's
How
game.
about a broadcast?
Yeah, once
How about
Eagles.
how about Bob and I do the play-by-play in color?
It's funny enough. I've been asked by teammates, like, can you set that up? And I'm like, no, I can't set
No, I
that
think we
up.
could.
I think we should.
I think we tell it.
horrible.
Look,
that'd be a low point in this station's history.
I went in yesterday, and Mike Vito was in his office playing with like one of those pong, paddle balls that has the rubber ball that bounces back and forth. I think Santa brought it to him and everything. Come on, he's got time in his hands. We could set this up.
We could. We're not going to, and the listeners out there are going to
Bob?
be happy about that.
No, I'm in. I
I'm
think
in
we have
too.
a
Man, he
boss
can
in the
fold again.
office today that I might bring it up to.
By the way, there is Monday
The
night
world doesn't need that.
in the same relative area. You could go see the Fanatic pregame show and hang out with the folks from Corona out at Barnaby's in Westchester, and I've already had 4 people coming now on Monday.
Oh, yeah?
I'll drive. Well, for me, that's a short commute.
Yeah, you're
I'm
coming,
going down
right?
there. I'm going to come down there for the pregame. I'm going to probably watch at home, but the pregame's going to be great, and everyone's going to be going on. You guys are on at 6 on Monday night at Barnaby's in Westchester.
Can't wait. Going to be a lot of fun. I guess there's going to be some stuff flowing, Pat, right? I'll get you a Coke, and what else we got?
We got Corona specials.
Corona
We've got,
specials
I believe,
going on?
$4 Modelo's going on. So,
Nice.
if things are going well, those are happy drinks. And if things aren't going well, then the drinks will take away the sadness.
We had our Corona rep come over.
Demi.
About an hour before the show was over and set down a bucket of Coronas in front of us.
Wow.
Yeah, she always does that.
Yeah, she does. So,
she knows what we need.
We get towards the end of the show, and there was a group in front of us. Actually, it was the second time we did it. There was another group in front of us. We gave them the bucket, and then the second group that was in front of us, we gave them the second bucket. So
Come on out.
Come on out. You never know if we'll be bucking you up.
That'll be good. It's the and on tomorrow morning, there'll be a special announcement on the show as we're going to tell you how on Friday morning you can win a trip for 2 to the Monday night game in Tampa, including airfare, hotel, and a VIP tailgate party featuring Hollis Thomas's 50th birthday party. That is going to be fun in and of itself.
Yeah, they know how to throw a party.
I have a feeling Hollis is going to have some ladies there.
They know how to throw a party when it's not somebody's birthday. So when it's somebody's birthday, Vince and Philly Sports Trips will do it up.
Hey, PhillySportsTrips.com. You can reserve your spot for the tailgate-only package if you're watching on YouTube and you're one of our Florida listeners or something, or if you already have your own plans to go to the game and you now have plans to be able to join Philly Sports Trips. Or you can add on hotel and game tickets to visit PhillySportsTrips.com. We'll tell you tomorrow morning how you're going to have a chance to win it on Friday. Something interesting and exciting and different and fun.
That's a great giveaway for a Friday
is.
before a Monday game. That is awesome.
With a Monday.
Imagine calling either like your wife, your husband, your buddy on a Friday and going, "Hey, pack your bags. We're going down to Tampa."
That'd be awesome, by the way.
You're not paying for it.
And do you know how cold it's going to be this weekend here?
Yeah,
Gonna be
Tampa's.
It's going to be bitter cold this weekend.
Even with that bad offense and bad defense, the Tampa weather's going to be enjoyable.
It's going to be awesome. And so that's tomorrow. Make sure you're here for that. You'll find out. And then Friday morning, you're going to be able to have your chance to win that great trip thanks to Philly Sports Trips. We appreciate you today. We've had some fun. We've had a few laughs. I feel a little bit better than I did before this morning.
That makes one
about
of
their
us.
chances. A little bit.
About their chances?
Yeah, from
I
hearing
feel
some of
better
them.
than I did this morning, but not about the Eagles.
Hey, support life-saving cancer research. Join us and our generous partner, H&H Heating and Air Conditioning.
Yep, great
Out
guys.
with Bob's yesterday.
Steve Goebel, you're the man.
And making a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research. You can do it today at 975thefanatic.com/AACR because cancer research saves lives. Andrew Salchunas will absolutely entertain you for the middays, and then you roll right into the best show ever this afternoon. Stick with the Fanatic all day long, won't you? We appreciate you. Make sure you downloaded that app and you're hitting it up all day long. Have a great